Hello, Sir Jamie. Good morning, magandang umaga. Narinig mo ako? Clear ba tayo? Are we clear?
Yes, with matching echo.
Yes, oo nga eh. Yan. Okay na?
Yes.
Although may konting no, sa audio natin. Teachers, good morning, magandang umaga po. Before siguro kami mag-start ni Sir Jambi, siguro, andito na rin si Sir Angelo, no? Yan. Kaya lang Sir Angelo po yata ngayon ay nasa labas yata. No? Will be joining us in the
Hmm.
backstage. We'll wait for him kung makasama po sa atin si Sir Angelo. No? Okay. So, Sir Jambi, we started a little earlier than usual. Okay? Mas maaga po tayo ng 5 minutes nag-start today, no?
Oh,
Uh,
pero may reason yan, of course, Sir Franco. No?
yes. Apo. Kasi talagang medyo jam pack kasi yung araw natin for today. We have lots of sharing that will happen today. Kaya we decided to be a little bit earlier no, than usual para mas magkaroon tayo ng time to have discussions. So, Sir Jambi, itong araw na to is really more on a very free flowing, engaging discussion. As in,
Correct.
yes, we'll be tapping no dun sa experiences talaga ng mga teachers natin at ng ating mga audience no. So please, just like always, do light no, do engage sa ating live chat no. Yung live chat na yan isa yan sa mga character ng Kaagapay Teacher Support Community no. Talagang pinapainit ang ating community sa live chat no. Sir
At
Jambi,
susunod ko, kumbaga sa accreditation, one of the best features of
yes, correct.
Kaagapay yung ating live chat, 'di ba? Yun yung
Oo.
ay, palagay ko lahat ng mga speakers natin, isa yan sa mga di nila makakalimutan how very active the comment section is.
Yes, correct, no? Sabi, yun nga, lagi mo nang sinasabi, ulit-ulit ko yung sabi, dalawang webinars po talaga lagi ang nangyayari, no? One in the live stream at isa dun sa live chat natin. So please, teachers, just like always, do indulge us sa ating um, live chat, no? So, Sir Jambi, huwag natin kalimutan ano pa rin tayo, konting shoutout lang tayo, no, before tayo
Of
mag-start.
course, of course.
Yes. So, teachers, let me greet you, no? Please do type in our chat box your name, your schools, your places, and we'll do a very quick shout out lang because we'll be reserving much of the time sa ating session for today. So, we have here Miss Leilani Amigo from Malay-Balay City, Bukidnon. Ako, isa yun sa napakaganda yung Sir Jambi no, sa Bukidnon. Miss Edeline Demapindan from Batangas Province. Okay.
Batangas Province.
Yes. Okay. Nako. Isa yun sa mga pinakamalalapit na. This one is from Sir Alex Javier Alvarez from Kidapawan City. Yan. Sir Romel. Sir Romel, no? You are usual Sir Romel Rosita from San Luis, Batangas. Sir Jomel from Talisay, Batangas. Parang madami tayong mga taga Batangas today, ah. Okay.
Correct.
We have, of course, ayan na, si Sir Angelo. Mukhang mobile si Sir Angelo ngayon, ah. Okay. Andali lang, no?
Ibang
Wait natin.
gumagalaw-galaw pa ba yung video?
Yeah. Oh, gagalaw-galaw. We'll wait for Sir Angelo no, to settle down a little bit. No? Baka mahilo po tayo dun sa, sa view ni Sir Angelo. Yan. Okay. So, parang, yan, sa baba. Meron pala sa baba. Miss Grace Ordinario from La Union. We have, nako, kakaingit to Sir Jambi. Miss Florian Dangiwan from Baguio City. Malamig na dito. Mas malamig pa dyan sa Baguio. No?
Tinanggal ko yung
Ah,
salamin ko. Ako nababasa.
Miss Rose Ann de Guzman from Hagonoy, Bulacan. Miss Arlene Bermundo from Purok Reyes Central Elementary School, Banga North District. Sir Cipriano Arenas from Balete Sur, San Carlos City Division. Miss Myra Ramos from SDO La Union. Hi, Miss Clarissa de Guzman. Good morning po, Miss Jenna Saris from Iloilo City. Yan. Okay, si Pastor Manny po from Always Always from Imo City, Cavite. Hello po, good morning Sir Joseph Odelon Hermetanyo, Miss Roseline, Herafe Hermoso, and Miss Rowena, Miss Ami Castro from Hagonoy, Bulacan, Miss Myra Ramos from, so nabanggit ko na rin pala yan. Okay. So teachers, mamaya we'll continue, no? We'll greet you again later. Pero ngayon, I'd like to turn the floor over to Sir Jambi because I think, no, he's in the best position to actually explain to us ano ba itong session natin for today, yung relevance nito, yung importance, and bakit kami sobrang excited sa session na to.
Okay. Ayan. Um, you all know how Sir Franco in most of the the webinars always insist na bilang kaagapay, kami po ni Sir Franco tsaka ni Sir Angelo, we're never ahead of you. We never take on the role of leading you to wherever. Yan. At palaging sinasabi ni Sir Franco, magkakasabay tayo. Ito yung pakiramdam ko perfect manifestation nung ano na yun, nung statement na yun na palaging sinasabi ni Sir Franco. And ito rin yung kumbaga, it all comes full circle. Yung dito, lahat ng mga webinars, lahat ng mga trainings, lahat ng mga experiences na sinishare namin nila Sir Franco, and lahat din ng nakikita natin sa comment section, from the comment section, lumipat na siya ngayon sa actual screen. Bakit? Kasi sa araw na ito, we are privileged to have 9. Tama ba? 9, Sir Franco? 9 from among you. So, 9 teachers na dati ay nanonood lang, 9 teachers na dati ay nagpa-participate lang sa comment section, are now taking over our screens and sharing with you their actual stories. Sharing with you their best practices, sharing with you yung mga experiences ng school nila, especially when it comes to distance learning. So, hindi natin sinasabi na their experiences will apply to everyone else. No, definitely not. Pero gaya ng palagi naman nating experience, yung kahit maliit na bagay lang or an aspect lang of whatever the speaker did, may matututunan tayong lahat. And alam mo, Sir Franco, kahapon dun sa sa tech run natin, inisip ko, i-share ko na ba o i-reserve ko na lang for tomorrow? I'm excited for our 9 speakers kasi I don't think, or I'm not sure if they've realized it already, pero hindi lang sila nandito to share to our viewers, pero they will end up realizing na after this 2-hour webinar, sila rin mismo matututo sila from each other and from the very active comment section that we have. So ito na po yung palagi naming pinag-uusapan ni Sir Franco na baka naman pwede meron tayong mga kaagapay na sila naman yung magse-share. Ito na po yung umpisa pa lang to. Promise natin yan, Sir Franco. This is just the start of us hearing more from our kaagapay member themselves.
And Sir Jambi, no, bigla ko lang na-realize nung inaayos ko kahapon yung ating lineup, no, ina-arrange ko. Na-realize ko we are well represented from Luzon down to Visayas, down to Mindanao, no. So lahat ng areas, kaya meron po tayong representatives. And yun nga teachers, no, isa yun sa mga talagang no, ini-envision ni Sir Jambi ever since, no. Yung talagang mag-come for circle tayo. Plus, as always, no, talagang binavalue kasi namin teachers, no, yung input ng experience ng mga teachers. Kasi I don't think hindi makaka-capture talaga ng mga theories, ng mga no, ng mga discussions lang yung mga experiences natin. So really, we really have to listen on and hear from our teachers who are actually no on the ground, no, teaching, experiencing the distance learning to actually able to understand it, no. And hopefully, this could become a start, Sir Jambi, no, as we've mentioned nga, no. And who knows, we'll be seeing them again in a full-length webinar na. So for today, ano lang to, mga
Oo.
preview, yes, mga preview of their future webinar talks with Kaagapay Teacher Support. Yes, okay po. So, Sir Jambi, siguro we could already with our first set. No, we'll be having 3 sets of speakers for
Correct.
today.
Three sets of three.
Yes, 3 sets of 3, yes. And siguro
So,
last Sir Jamie 'no, baka lang makalimutan natin. Don't forget teachers, you'll also be receiving a certificate of achievement after this webinar. Okay, so please make sure that you answer our evaluation link that will be given towards the end. And also expect we'll be going a little bit of overtime today, no, because of the so many
oo.
speakers we're going to have for today. And no, no, the many offerings we're going to give today. Okay.
Excited na ako, Sir Franco.
Ako din, Sir Jamie. Yan, Sir Jamie, let's have our first set of speakers for today.
Ayan, okay. Dear Kaagapay, ayan, to continue our February series, we have lightning talks, experiences, practices, and stories in distance learning. And for our first set pa lang po yan ha, we're promising you 3. We already have 3 speakers, 3 sharers for the first set. We have, nako, ito na, problema ng mata ko. From St. Anthony Elementary School in Cainta, Rizal. Ito, kapitbahay lang natin. Nandyan si Miss Eloisa May B. Lanuza. And then from Dr. Emilio B. Espinosa Senior Memorial State College of Agriculture and Technology, Kabitan, Mandaon, Masbate. Wow. We have Mr. Alvin Masamok Mahawan. And we will end the first set with a gentleman from Zapatera National High School, Cebu City, Mr. Buenavides P. Herundio Jr. Yan, sana po na-pronounce ko lang maayos ang kanilang mga pangalan. Kung hindi man po, makakasama natin sila after the first set for a quick Q&A with the 3 of them. Tama na, Sir Franco?
Yes, tama, Sir Jamie. No? So, wag natin patagalin. Let's start our first set of presenters for this morning.
To Sir Franco and the rest of the organizers, and to our viewers, our participants in this lightning talks, thank you for joining us this morning. I am glad to become part of this lightning talks, wherein I'll be sharing to you some of the perhaps best practices in this educational restrictions. Alright, without any further ado, I'm going to proceed with my presentation titled Teaching Life Science Effectively Through Computer-Aided Instruction, or simply the KAI. This is actually the offshoot of my master's thesis, wherein in terms of its application, there is really the big contribution, especially in this time of pandemic, wherein we opt to embrace the demands of the computers of the Industrial Revolution 4.0, wherein we integrate information communication technology in our instruction. Alright, allow me to give you a simple memes, because this is a trend in this for the millennials, as they say. So, if we were asked on what do you call a person who keeps on talking when people are no longer interested, if we're going to revisit our conventional way of teaching, basically the answer would be a teacher. We teachers are good in talking, but oftentimes when we're no longer interested in our discussion, that means there is something in our discussion. So what is the requirement to have at least an intervention for them to not get bored in this? Because in my study, my concern is all about in the field of science. So in this regards, computer aided instruction is a need for us to integrate in our instruction, but it is necessary for us to be guided that technology will never replace great teachers. Kailangan natin i-embrace ito, because though there are so many educational platforms na nagsilabasan ngayon sa industriya, but we must not be replaced by this technology, because teachers we teachers are still the best in terms of delivering the education that our children, that the students need in order to combat the demands of the centuries that may come. But technology in hands of great teachers is transformational. This is the reason why we teachers must be transformational. We must be an agent of transformation. That means we're going to transform our students into the best version of themselves. To give you an idea of what my presentation is all about, wherein I have made mention that it was actually based from my master's thesis on the integration of computer-aided instruction to lesson development. We opt to utilize learning management system. We utilize Google Classroom, the Moodle, and so many platforms just to deliver the lesson because it is a need. It is highly interesting, especially in the field of science, to integrate computer-aided instruction just like simulations and other technologically developed platform that will enhance the student's conceptual understanding, and it might master the learning competencies, stipulate the most essential learning competencies that is needed for them to master. Now, the focus of this in the lesson is that focusing on these 3 lessons about structures and function of cells, photosynthesis, energy flow, and the utilization of energy. Since these topics are difficult to understand during the conventional way of teaching, how much more today? Mahihirapan tayong ipaintindi, especially to the science teachers, mahihirapan tayong ipaintindi sa mga estudyante the different structures and function of cells. Of course, the flow of the light-dependent and independent reaction under photosynthesis, and most especially on the cellular respiration. How are we going to explain in details the processes, the pathways in glycolysis, citric acid cycle, the electron transport chain? And with this, with the integration of Kai in this lesson, wherein this is actually prepared as the result of a master's thesis, wherein I am sharing this to you, that computer-aided instruction really increases the conceptual understanding of the students, and at the same time, they were able to master the learning competencies. And it might be that after studying life sciences, baka ganito na nga itsura nila. We could not explain the situation, the conditions of our students. Hindi na natin maintindihan kung ano na kaya. Naintindihan ba nila ang lessons na to? Kasi ang hirap intindihin ito actually even in our conventional way of teaching. That is why it would be good if we integrate computer-aided instruction as what I've practiced in teaching the following topics. And our students would eventually seek for help. And in terms of seeking for help, it's difficult to extend help, especially that we are bombarded with different school activities. We are going to prepare modules in the coming weeks, and perhaps in the case of the public schools, they printed the ready-made modules. But we know that the public school teachers, they are not confined with a prescribed prepared lesson plan, keep on printing, but they are required to prepare learning activity sheets wherein this would enrich the students who failed in a certain topics, that the students failed to master the learning competences in the prepared modules. Kailangan pa rin nila mag-prepare, and perhaps in terms of preparation, it might be a step. I am encouraging those teachers, just like what we did, that in order to at least master the learning competencies in the preparation of the learning activity sheets, maganda na we integrate, if possible, a certain computer-aided instructions, especially in science-related field. But I'm also encouraging in other fields, just like in English, in Filipino and other languages field, that computer-aided instruction is also perhaps a good way of enriching our students' mastery in the lesson. This is how actually the teachers feel after lessons are done. We are parang feeling natin, it was a successful endeavor indeed. So parang malaya tayo right after we printed the modules, we delivered the modules in terms of the retrieval of modules, the posting of the learning materials and activities in the learning management system. Masaya tayo. The question is, Is there an assurance that our students were able to really master, were able to digest the content that we were able to prepare, that we posted in our learning management system? That is actually the question. What is the assurance that they were able to learn the things that we wanted them to learn? To give you some of the rundown of the result of based from the studies of by yours truly on the effectiveness of computer-aided instruction on students' conceptual understanding in life science, these are some of the computer-aided instruction utilized in the discussion of the topics being made mention a while ago in the structure of function of cells, in the photosynthesis, the light-dependent and independent reaction, the cellular respiration, the conversion of energy. We have to embrace really the realities that we have to accommodate the demands of the technology, especially that these topics requires highly technical terms for our students to master. Mahihirapan sila na ma-master ito. And in the development of our lessons, I would encourage our fellow educators, our fellow teachers, especially in the private schools and public schools, to integrate these things. Kasi maganda na ang estudyante at their own pace, kasi ngayon our students are learning independently. So integrating these things, maganda sa kanilang feeling, looking into the content of the topics that we wanted them to embrace, that we wanted them to learn, and perhaps students are enthusiastic enough to look into this because this is interactive. In terms of interactivity, the use of narrator, there are features present in this computer-aided instruction in this Sky packages. And finally, what would be the best thing that I could share based from what I have presented randomly, based from the result of a master's thesis? It would be best that we have to embrace the challenges, though we have other things to do, but then we commit that we have to serve that even in our worst day, we are still the learner's best hope. We have to serve the best that we can do. We integrate the best thing that we can in order for the students to learn whatever the situation is. The accommodation of the newest intervention in the academe is the best thing that we have to embrace. Just like this one, the integration of computer-aided instruction in teaching life science, if we try our best as an educators in promoting the best thing that could help sharpen our techniques, our methodologies, is a need for us to go along with. By that, I would like to end my talk according to Alvin Toffler that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you very much and good morning to each and everyone.
To all our viewers. I am so delighted to be speaking to you all about a digital innovation that is very close to my heart, and that is flipped classroom. Actually, I made a study about this last 2018 and was able to present this at Southeast Asia Conference on Basic Education Researchers with its research titled The Effectiveness of Technological Enhanced Flipped Classroom on the Academic Performance of Grade 6 Pupils. Now, let's talk about flipped classroom in transformative education. So as the topic title implies here, as seen in the screen, reality shows that we are living in an era of crossroads wherein the digital became the new normal. And the most obvious crossroads here is that we are witnessing the impact of technology and its transition is happening at full speed. So a shift to a transformative style of teaching education for the 21st century is very evident. Now, I think most of you who are watching now are educators, and we all know that educators are very notorious for choosing the newest and latest innovation. And speaking of that, well, I can still remember a scenario in 2017. That was in my second year of service in public school. So during that time, it really feels like something is urging me to go beyond my teaching styles, to innovate, to think out of the box, and to transform my classroom. So after I made a deep study about the concept, the process of planning, the implementation, and evaluation, I considered turning my classroom upside down. Now allow me to share to you the experiences, my stories, insights from teaching in the frame of flipped classroom. And I'm sure most of you have heard about it. Okay, so flipped classroom or inverted classroom is an example of pedagogy that aligns with the 21st century style of learning that blossomed into its limelight during this global pandemic. And this popular trend in education is actually a type of blended learning where the lessons are learned at home while the practice is completed in the classroom. So this is called flipped classroom because it flips, reverses the traditional method. So actually, my own experience in traditional classroom setup urged me to consider this. So back then, I was just so sick of the usual pattern wherein after, for example, after the lesson, I am assigning homework to my class only to discover that the pupils are having a difficulty understanding the concept. So our whole class period were just spent by just reviewing the homework. So this really triggered me to flip my classroom. Of course, to maximize the class time, transforming it into hands-on, differentiated, and personalized learning experiences. So with our current situation with COVID-19, this has forced teachers and pupils to learn in virtual spaces. So this blended approach to online learning through flipped classroom allows instructors to integrate synchronous and asynchronous platforms. So good thing here is there are many available apps, platforms, structures where pupils can explore the content, apply what they have learned, and extend their knowledge. So we have here Google Classroom, Puzzle, and quizzes, which are some of those that we can easily use to go with the flow and embrace creating our digital flip classroom. By the way, teachers, you can use whatever platforms you want, and I'm really glad that we are always on the go in keeping with the evolution of the platforms in optimizing the use of the available tools that we have. Now, the question here is, how do I make this possible? So here are the steps in flipping the classroom. Alright, so this is in the context of face-to-face, but same procedures in distance learning. So first is, it's very important to orient the pupils, the parents, and your school head about this. Second, curate resources for instruction such as an ebook, YouTube videos, PowerPoint, and handouts. Third is to manage the flipped classroom to make the most of in-class time by making the objectives and expectations at its onset. And fourth is the technology integration where you could integrate different platforms for your tools. This is also where I learned to create my own materials like video lessons, my own ebook, PowerPoint as my basic materials that are suited and appropriate for the learners in the flipped classroom setup. And to tell you my experience, I also came to a point where I found myself worried with a small amount of nervousness whenever confronted with technology. And I'm pretty sure that we are on the same boat on that. But what I have learned is, or what I have realized, is that the more we use the technology, the more comfortable we become. Just like language, the more we use it, the more fluent we become. So teachers, when the fear of technology strikes you, overcome it by embracing it wholeheartedly. Then moving on to the next, we have here the actual flipping. So it is the stage where the pupils will be given access to the said materials in advance. So they can review this at their own pace, at their own time. And if they want to go back and study something again, they can. Next is in class. So after students have engaged with the materials, they already have an idea. So they can work on problems in class as teachers engage them in tasks. So here, the teaching time is dedicated to the problem-solving activities, brainstorming, or even games. So with the teacher's help and guidance, meaningful learning and valuable class time occurred. So here, pupils became independent learners. So the pupils guide the pace and style of their learning, while the instructors play the role of the guide on the side. So flipping the classroom is not merely just giving them advanced materials, but also engaging them in flip learning, incorporating 4 pillars into their practice. So F in a word, flip, is the flexible learning environment. So it's really unnecessary to create flexible spaces to allow students to differentiate and individualize learning since they are actively involved in knowledge construction. Next is the learning culture. So the flipped classroom is student-centered. So students are considered as active learners and teachers as facilitators. Then I stands for intentional content. So the differentiated materials that I made were anchored to the learning targets connected with the content. That is very important. And P for the professional educator or lecturer. So here is the role of the educator is more demanding as educators should constantly monitor and assist the pupils. Now let's try to link the Bloom's taxonomy to the flipped classroom. So in traditional model, remembering and understanding take place when instructors introduce new materials to the students who try to follow students' delivery. While in flipped classroom, new material is introduced to students outside of the class where they work on mastering concepts on their own pace and own time. So pupils can already work with the areas from remember up to the apply areas. Now try to look at apply, analyze, evaluate, and create areas in traditional model. So it shows that this is where the pupils do the homework. While in flipped classroom, the actual class time is where the students and instructors work together on these levels of understanding. So linking Bloom's taxonomy in my flipped classroom allows me to build foundation to the specific targets I need to enhance or to address. And it is actually good to support the pupils to build concept, apply, evaluate, and create new and original works that showcase what they have learned. So flipped classroom not just increase students' academic engagement, but also their satisfaction levels. So in flipped classroom, the pupils were engaged in more meaningful activities and individualized learning that enhanced their performance. Now, what if pupils don't come prepared? So this was the question of a panelist way back 2018. Well, of course, we don't want in-class disasters to our flipped classroom. So having a good classroom management is the key, and it can be done by setting learning objectives and expectations as early as possible. Moreover, actually, the flipped classroom is really a partnership. So it's really important to tap the support of the parents in a pre-assessment phase. And to make sure that pupils come to class prepared, for them to engage themselves in activity fully was really a challenge to us teachers. So what I did is I traced records on their pre-class work, which is also significant in the grade performance. And through this, they are aware of the consequences in terms of how their lack of preparation affects their grade. And okay, so building a positive relationship with pupils and parents is one of the key secrets to achieve this because it helps in increasing pupils' motivation. There is no perfect innovation, method, and approach, and it's natural that we can experience these hurdles along the way. So just like, for example, the internet connection, we can deny the fact that some of the pupils do not have computers or internet connections at home. However, the drive to pursue our goal should never hinder us to any challenges that comes along. So giving equal opportunity to the learners should always be the #1 priority. So printed materials or printed copies or materials in a city can be a way to solve that problem. And though it was very hard at first because of the preparations it costs to teachers, I was relieved to see students taking ownership for their own learning. And you know what? I think it is one of the best things I ever did in my teaching career. So this dared me to be more to do more, believe more for the students I serve. And actually, teachers, I was really happy because of an increasing number of teachers who are using flipped classroom. So to tell you honestly, I was a bit hesitant way back 2018 because flipped classroom are mostly used in higher level. But still, I pushed to try it to my grade 6 pupils. So teachers, if it excites you and scares you at the same time, it probably means you should do it. And this brings you courage and love to your endeavor. So don't be afraid to think of ways to improve yourself and your method in teaching your pupils. So keep learning. If it works, then better. So as they say, variety is the spice of life that gives it all its flavor. So let us all continue having a powerful faith in the future and a heart of planting and nurturing seeds that will grow and shape tomorrow. Teachers, let us use the crossroads of digital innovation in equipping ourselves and also our learners in this transformative education. So thank you very much. This is Miss Eloisa May Villanusa.
Good morning po sa lahat. So, ang topic ko po ngayon ay maximizing learned skills. So, we all know we have different levels of skills. So, question now is, of all the topics, why I choose maximizing learned skills? Because I consider these three as the framework of my topic this morning. It needs, problems, and curiosity. So, with regards to needs, so ano ba yung mga dapat kong i-maintain para mag-success ang aking pagiging guro? What are those problems that hinders the success of my teaching or the topic delivery? And curiosity, sa experience po natin kapag may makita tayo, may magdaan sa wall ng ating Facebook na kung saan nag-offer ng mga free webinars, free training, just like the Agape Teacher Support, please spend time for that one because it really helps. And as part of the solution of these three needs, problems, and curiosity, I'll consider skills. Okay? So, skills. Now, as I've said a while ago, we have different levels of skills. Lalong-lalo na yung mga millennial teachers natin. Ibang-iba yun compared sa masasabi nating unang graduate. So, with regards to manipulation of computers, technical skills, okay, so mas advanced sila. But hindi ibig sabihin na magpapahuli tayo. Okay? So, skills. Paano ko ba sinasabing maximizing of learned skills sa ating pagtuturo? So, ang skills po ay nagiging solution na kapag ito ay na-maximize ng maayos. Okay, with regards to skills, so since I attend a series of formal trainings, webinars, I also conducted webinars. And also what I've learned, I also share it to my colleagues. At least naman is makatulong tayo sa ating mga kapwa guro. Okay, maibsan ang kanilang just like how to manipulate skills. Kasi alam naman natin, merong mga teachers na parang nahihirapan din. So, I share my learnings also. So, webinars. So, what are those webinars that I've conducted? So, basic of Photoshop, Prezi. So, Prezi presentation, yung parang may zoom in at zoom out. And Google Drive and also the products of Microsoft. So, with regards to Google Drive, so ito ang binigyan ko ng malaking emphasis kasi ginagamit ko ngayon lalong-lalo na sa situation natin. We are in the new normal. So here we are adapting printed module and digital. So this intended for digital. So anong ginagawa ko? I teach the learners for within 2 days. Parang nag-seminar na ako sa kanila with regards to using Google Drive. So parang may may output based din. So ang malaking emphasis dito is ganito lang. Gagawa ka ng series of folders or dalawang folders. Yung isa intended for the modules na kung saan ibigay mo sa mga learners ang link, and then papasok ang mga learners sa link na yun at sila nang mag-download sa mga modules. And then the other series of folders, the intention for that one is for the submission of answer sheets. So that's why series of folders. Bakit nga ba series of folders? Kasi pag ilagay mo yun sa isang folder, time na i-open mo yung folder, pwede makita ng iba. Kaya series of folders by section. And then, make sure there is an agreed time kailan sila mag-submit and kailan mo yan i-open, kasi pag palaging bukas yan, bukas din yan ang sabihin nating kitaan ng mga answers or cheating. So, for example, another situation, let's say may bata kang hindi pumasa, gusto mong pumasa yung bata, like bigyan mo ng link para sa mga extra references or additional materials. Okay, and then with regards also sa ating Microsoft products, simple lang how to use PowerPoint presentation and Excel. So with regards to PowerPoint presentation, it is in connection with Prezi. So using PowerPoint presentation with the concept of Prezi presentation. So next, so in sharing, so ano bang dalawang bagay na share ko sa aking mga colleagues? So Excel and Google Forms. So sa Excel, what I did, since we in public school teachers were using DTR and IDLAR. So I made a way wherein the IDLAR and the DTR is connected. So paano yun mag-work? Doon ka lang mag-input sa Excel mo, tapos automatic na yan na generated doon sa DTR. So meaning, after the month, no need to write your DTR from day 1 up to the last day because automatic connected na yan. So, you're inputting your IDLAR in a weekly basis. So, what will happen? Sa IDLAR ka lang mag-input in a weekly basis. And then once you try to look up or try to check in your DTR, it's already also the same time what is written in your IDLAR. And for the Google Forms, ano ang kagandahan sa Google Forms? Ito ay pwede natin magamit na isang tool na kung saan gagawa ka ng exam, let's say for example, post-test. Ang kagandahan dito sa Google Form kapag gumawa ka ng post-test ay kapag mag-set ka ng answer key, automatic yan na mag-checking and also automatically generated the score. So, it's a best way, unlike checking manually, so kakain ng malaking oras. But sa Google Forms, alam naman natin hindi lahat pwedeng makagamit ng Google Form. I'm just only referring yung mga naka-digital. So kahit naman hindi lahat, but at least we're finding way on how to listen our problem. So slight message lang para sa ating mga teachers. So what we did is always for our learners. So most of our nights planning, most of our mornings explaining, most of our afternoons correcting, and most of our years encouraging, and most of our lives stressing. Okay? And the main reason for the future of our learners. So that's my topic for this morning all about. Okay. Thank you, Sir Franco, and the Kagapay Teacher Support Community. God bless po sa lahat. Once again, thank you po.
Sige lang. So just for Sir Alvin. Sir Alvin and also Sir Jambi, no? Ayan, maraming salamat po. Miss Eloisa, Sir Benavides, no? And also Sir Alvin. Okay, baka nagkakaproblema lang sa signal si Sir Alvin, no? Pero really appreciate no all the sharing so far, no? At teachers, tatlo pa lang po, no? Tatlo pa lang 'yan, pero punong-puno na kagad yung ating ano no, yung ating morning, no? From a more specific approach by Sir Alvin. And then we also have a sharing from Isaliza, which is a more generalized, no, could actually be applied to different subjects, different settings, no. Sabi nga ni Miss Eloisa kanina, yes, yung study niya is primarily done in a face-to-face setup. Pero if you look at it, teachers, no, actually yung face-to-face, yung flipped classroom is the one that saved us sa distance learning. Kasi yung framework ng flipped classroom is actually no meant no for a distance learning modality. Okay? And also no, so take it into Sir Benavides for sharing that. What I really like about Sir Benavides idea is that uh, precisely what kaagapay teacher support is. Okay? That your skills are only maximized if you're able to share them. Okay, so if it's something that you can't share or haven't shared, no, nare-reduce yung impact ng skill na yun. Okay? Now sa teachers, maybe we can entertain some questions, no, from the audience. If you have questions to Sir Benavides, Miss Eloisa, and Sir Alvin, no. Yes, Sir Alvin, baka nagkakaroon lang ng problem sa connection, but he's in the background already. Yan. Baka naghihintay lang na. Hintayin natin ng konti si Sir Alvin. Anyway, Miss Eliza, meron akong question specifically for you. Okay. Habang naghihintay din po tayong question from the audience, no. Miss Eliza, ano yung biggest challenge mo no when you tried when you started flipping your classroom? What would be perhaps one of the biggest challenge that you encountered na and paano mo to sinolusyonan or na nagawa ng paraan?
Right, so thank you, Sir Franco. Actually, your question is very interesting. So, actually, before we reach the happy ground wherein the students are taking ownership of their own learning, we have to face the challenges first. We have to consider some encounters and consider something. So, one of the greatest challenges in a flipped classroom is, of course, the availability of the computers, and of course the internet connection. So what I did there is I in the pre-assessment phase, you have to know, or you have to do something for those pupils who are having a difficulty in internet connection. So you can give them printed materials, and I have the tools that I use in my flipped classroom were already in a CD materials for those who can't afford learning in that kind of setup.
Oh, that's nice, Miss Eloisa, 'no. Meron silang ano, low bandwidth,
Yes.
versions ng kanilang, flip classroom. That's very, very nice, 'no, Sir, Miss Eloisa, 'no. Sir Benavides, wala po tayong masyadong question, pero actually I have a question for you, Sir Benavides, 'no. So when we're talking about skills right now, what do you think, Sir Benavides, ano yung pinaka-in-need, ano yung pinakakailangang skill ng isang teacher sa 21st century setup natin? So for you, for example, speaking from your experiences sa pag-share niyo po, sa pakipag-interact niyo sa mga teachers, ano yung pinakakailangan nila ngayon?
Since situation natin po ngayon, sir, ay nasa new normal tayo. So bawal ang yung kumbaga yung with regards to distance, meron tayong sinusunod na protocol. So usually with regards to interaction sa mga teachers, computer-based din. And doon ko nakikita na hindi lahat ng mga teachers marunong with regards to manipulation kahit sa simpleng bagay. Let's say for example, a deep understanding using of Excel. And also, even PowerPoint presentation, ang ginagamit is yung plain lang. Kasi ngayon, mas maganda yung parang ma-miss yung bata, yung with aha moment. Importante yun.
Mm-mm.
Kasi
Correct.
kung alam natin, ang mga bata ngayon is masyadong visual. So mas madali lang maintindihan o yung malaki yung retention level kung parang may nakikita sila sa presentation na magbibigay ng direktang idea. Okay, so kaya po sir, ang ginawa ko doon sa Excel is nirelate ko sa sa work namin na kung saan na weekly basis mag-type ng oras kasi it serves as monitoring for us in public school. So that's weekly basis. So kakain din ng oras kapag magsulat ka pa ng DTR. Kaya ginawa ko, nag-connect yung IDLAR at saka yung DTR namin. So no need to write manually the DTR. Okay, that's all sir.
Very nice, sir, 'no, maraming salamat. And indeed, 'no, and again, perhaps isa sa mga pinakamagandang ano is that embrace natin. Sabi nga ni Miss ano kanina, Miss Eloisa, and actually also one of the points ni Sir, Benavides, 'no, we have to embrace, this situation. That's the only time we get to really learn from it, no. Medyo pain 'yan, medyo, painstaking 'yan, medyo nakakalito, confusing, pero at the end of the day, teachers, when we try to embrace it and we learn to embrace it, okay, things will be much, much ano pa 'no, easier and better. Sir Jambi, any thoughts?
Ako talagang nakaka-proud lang, Sir Franco. Nung nanonood ako ng mga videos kanina, sobrang nakaka-proud yung mga yung mga speakers natin this morning. Start pa lang 'yan. Meron pa tayong dalawa pang sets. So I look forward na maging full-blown webinars yung bawat isang mga ninyo, bawat isang mga shinare ninyo this morning. Again, kami ni Sir Franco natututo kami every time nagkakaroon ng webinar. Sana kayo rin po. Ayan, yun din po yung isang prayer ko for Miss Eloisa and Sir Buenavides. Perhaps you came into this seminar thinking na kayo yung mag-share, pero sana meron din po kayong mapulot from each other, from us, and from our viewers as well. Pero, di ba, makakasama pa naman natin sila ulit later, no, Sir Franco? Ayan.
A whole panel later at the end, 'no, para mag-usap talaga tayong lahat, okay?
Exciting.
Yeah. So, Miss Eloisa and Sir Benavides will be saying goodbye for now, no? Okay, we'll be seeing you again later as we now move on to our set number 2 for this morning's lightning talks.
Okay. Gaya nga ba sabi namin kanina, unang set pa lang yan. We now move on to our second set. Ayan, buti na lang binigyan ako ng ng kodigo ni Sir Franco kasi hindi ko nabasa yung Pasensya na po pala kayo, umexit ako saglit kanina. Nagpa-check po ako ng mata. So, for our second set, ayan, we again have a great set of sharers for this morning. We have from, kakasamahan ni Sir Franco from Xavier School San Juan, Mr. Alwin S. Reclusado. And if I'm not mistaken, Sir Franco, kilala na to ng ibang mga kaagapay natin no? Ayan, na-meet nyo na si Sir Alwin. And then we have from Universidad de Zamboanga, from Zamboanga City. Wow. Miss Yolene N. Medina. And also from Don Leon Mercado Senior Memorial National High School, San Juan, Batangas. Kaya pala ang daming taga Batangas, Sir Franco, na nanonood sa sa comment section natin. We have Miss Liberty Villanueva Lugato. Take it away, dear
Yes.
students.
Yes. So we'll start, teachers. Maraming salamat, Sir Jambi.
Hello, teachers. Good morning. I am Alvin Reclusado again, and today I will be talking about a whole new word, adding the element of fun in learning. But oops, not word, it is Wordwall. So let's talk about Wordwall. But before that, I'd like to ask you some questions. When you were a kid, did you play patin? Hello, teachers. Good morning. I am Alvin Reclusado again, and today I will be talking about a whole new word, adding the element of fun in learning. But oops, not word, it is Wordwall. So let's talk about Wordwall. But before that, I'd like to ask you some questions. When you were a kid, did you play patintero? Or what about tumbang preso, luksong tinik, luksong baka? These different types of games. Did you have fun? Did you enjoy? Now that we are somewhat more matured, somewhat in our 20s or 30s, 40s perhaps, what do you think your children are feeling when they are doing the Naruto run in the corridors of your school or outside our houses? Or for those who are inside their respective houses playing this kind of game, doing card games. Are we saying that we can add this kind of fun in learning? And can we do it through games? If we say that when we talk about games, basically, we're talking about human experience. Do you agree with me? Human experience in the sense that when we say that we are going to play a game, basically, we think of someone in mind as well. And human experience is that when it is shared, because you have someone in mind, is that we all agree that there is this element of fun. When you were a kid, you wanted to go out to play with one of your friends. So usually during our time, we have siesta time, for example, they would ask us to sleep from 1 to 2. Then you cannot go out by 2 o'clock, magkakaroon ka ng kuto, masyadong mainit, something like that. And then when it is playtime already, kapag bilog ang buwan, naglalaro tayo under it, naglalaro tayo, tagu-taguan among others with our friends, right? And that's why we are saying it is something that is shared. It is not something that you do on your own. Because I wonder, how can you play patintero on your own? What about tagu-taguan? Have you tried playing hide and seek alone? Can you do it? So basically, when we're talking about games with a shared human experience with the element of fun, these are things that we do with other people. These are things that we do with our friends. These are things that we do with the people that we love. And as we do them, we share that experience. And let us now translate that into learning. And according to Karl Kapp, we now call this gamification. And when we say gamification, we say that gamification allows us to take the elements of fun, the elements from games. You have your rules, you have your set of limitations, you have a certain level of freedom, yet it is not absolute because you have to follow that rule. Langit lupa, when you play langit lupa, once you now you don't follow the rule, then ikaw ang taya. Just like now when the kids are calling this the floor is lava. And when they say the floor is lava, you have to jump to a place higher, get out of the floor. Or when they say the sofa is lava, get out of the sofa. There are rules. Now let us integrate these kinds of rules into our instruction. But don't forget fun. Let's make our games, let's make our ideas, let's make our teaching more fun. And similarly for Karl Kapp, if we add this element of fun into our learning, then your students will have a better retention and recall. The students will be more motivated and students will be more engaged. Because if this element of fun is within our lesson, is embedded in the way we teach or in our activities, I'm guaranteeing that your students will be focused on the things that they are supposed to be doing. I'll be sharing to you some of the examples that I did using Wordwall. Do you want to be a game show host? We can use Wordwall to make a quiz show, something like the one that I have now. So it is simply not asking my students there what are the elements or what are the things that you could see in a triangle or identify this and that. No, I tried to gamify it. Or what about this one? As a kid, did you play Pac-Man? Or have you seen the movie Pixels? Or I think it's pixelated. So something like this. Can you imagine or have you imagined doing this kind of game, this kind of activity in your class? And can you hear my voice when I'm playing this game and practicing it for our class?
Let's go again. Let's go.
Can you imagine your students playing this game now?
No.
Do you think they will enjoy? Do you think they will have fun? There, finally, I got it. And I did it through Wordwall. And according to the mantra of Wordwall, making learning fun or make learning fun. Because through Wordwall, we can make interactive activities for the classroom. Either it is in phase or during this time of pandemic, wherein all of us are doing either online distance learning or asynchronous learning. So teachers, let's move on.
Are you now ready to make your classes more fun and more interactive, teachers? So let's go and sign up. Please go to wordwall.net and then click sign up. You have two options in signing up. You may sign in with Google or you may do it manually so that your account will be sign up with Wordwall rather. So type in your email address. For example, I'll use my other email address. Then I'll make a password. Then confirm the password. Then click your location. Look for your location, but since this is for the Philippine teachers, let's click Philippines and then I accept. Then click sign up. Now we are ready to make our video. So we can, our activity rather. So click create your first activity. So you take note, you have a lot of options to choose from. Match up, random wheel, group sort, random cards, missing words, anagram, label diagram, and jumble. You have a lot of choices. So from this, you may just choose, for example, the one that I've shown you a while ago, game show. Then click title. So let's say self introduction. Say, what is my name? So I am referring to me as a teacher. So I'll say Alvin R. Alvin Reclusado. You have Bodge or A. Reclusado. So for me, this is the correct one. So I will click it. This is the correct answer. And click done. So take note that for us to click done, there must be at least 5 questions. And then from there, you can share it to your class already.
But one of the limitations of this one, teacher, since this is a basic account, the one that we are using and the one that I'm using as well, is that we can only have 5 games that is saved in Wordwall. But don't worry, don't be a crybaby. What we're going to do is that I will show you how to work on it. a workaround in this with this tool?
Since we are using a basic account, there is a limitation. So we only have maximum of 5 games. We can only create maximum of 5 activities using the basic account for Wordwall.net. So what we can do to troubleshoot this problem is to go to your previous activity or to your previous game, and then you can edit content. So as you edit content, you can change the ones that you have made previously and just click done, and you have another, you can reuse that another kind of activity. So you may also change the kind of game that you want. So what we're going to do is, for example, instead of the game show quiz, I want open the box. I will click open the box, and now my activity has changed. Or if I want quiz, it will change to quiz. Or if I want random wheel, it will change to random wheel. So all you have to do is spin, and then there you have it. You embed, get the link, and send it to your students, and that's it. We're done.
So teachers, one important note is that for us to be able to share this one, we should always go back to embed. We go embed, click embed, so that we'll be able to get the link and we can share it to our students. How are we going to share this one? You can just simply simply copy the link, and then if you are using Facebook Messenger to communicate with your students, then you post it there. If you are using an LMS, you just post it there, you embed it, and all that your students would do is to click the play button, and then it's okay, they can play already. So some of the things that I did, or some of the things, the uses of this one for me is that before assessment, as a form of a review, recall for these activities, or for introduction of the lesson as well. So it is a good motivation for the students. We can also use this for pre-test. It is not only paper and pen that will work for pre-test. We could gamify all of the things that we are doing, provided that they are appropriate, provided that they are in line with our objectives, and then our lesson will be fun. So teachers, to end my sharing to you today, I will always tell you, and please always remember, let us make learning fun. Let us make our lives easier. Let us make learning fun through Wordwall. Thank you very much and enjoy your day.
Okay. So, okay, good morning po. Well, yeah. Okay, so good morning to everyone. It's nearly lunchtime, nasa 11 o'clock. And I'd like to thank first Sir Franco and Teacher Jamie for this opportunity. I'm Yuli Medina from Universidad de Zamboanga, and my talk about is the importance of an empowered academic support group during the pandemic, stories of perseverance and self-service at Universidad de Zamboanga. So this has been like topic because I really would like to also put an emphasis on the efforts and practices that I have seen with my colleagues and also with my team. And I think those in the academic support group are, I consider them as mga unsung heroes, no? So, hindi masyadong nafo-focus yung efforts nila. And then I So it was an opportunity to share with you how important the academic support group or team is, and at the same time also have parang so that everyone will have a great appreciation of these people. Yeah. So a little bit of background. I have already been in the educational institution for, I think, 17 years na. And then I used to be a high school teacher, and afterwards I became a technical vocational trainer, and then eventually I was also given an opportunity to become a middle manager. So I handle two teams right now. So yung isa is for yung ICT team namin dito. So okay, let's proceed. So I'd like to first focus on the community involvement. No? So yung community involvement kasi talaga ng institution is very important, especially during the pandemic. When we had the pandemic last March, no, what the management and actually some of the middle managers first went focused into is how to involve everyone into becoming involved in community, so that hindi sila magiging idle. And obviously there's a lot of effects sa mental health and emotional health natin, and then everyone doesn't know what will happen. So when the management, at the same time the middle managers, thought of why not involve everybody into the communities para yung lahat ng mga empleyado would feel that they have an activity and they'll be productive, so hindi sila masyadong ma-depress. So what we did was, we went into farming, we went into agriculture. So yung support group namin, yung academic support group namin in community and extension services, focused in this one, and then they gathered everyone na pwede, during that time kung pwede na, para makapag-farm sila, they plant vegetables, and at the same time, what they did is also monitor the seedlings, at the same time the plants, kung okay na ba, healthy na. And there was also a time hindi pwede pang pumunta sa school, no? So what the academic support group did is they went house to house talaga to bring the seedlings to each of our employees para lang may magawa sa bahay, no? Para maging productive. Yan. So we also made an effort, the academic support group also made an effort to also help out. Kahit na medyo nahihirapan din yung tayo or kami during that time, because giving out or helping out other people will also make them feel good. So in a way, good siya for our spirit and for good positive vibes siya sa amin. No? So it's our way of saying na kahit let's help each other out para hindi naman tayo maging masyadong malungkot na we'll just wait and see what will happen. So another what we did was we saw the opportunity, yung academic support group. So an opportunity to involve everyone to equip namin yung academic support group para kasi ito yung mga these are the core group that who can go to school that time. So in workforce namin, so in-equip namin ng first aid because we don't know nga what will happen. So since there's a pandemic, what we did was we gathered together and then we participated in basic life support. So lahat kami ngayon, meron na kaming basic life support skills. So through partnership with Red Cross. So yun. So next is the management also together with the academic support group also thought of donating or helping out in the community in our LGU by during that time, this is actually June pala, donating COVID test booths, no, para to help out also the community and the city. And yan, ito yun. And then for leadership and influence naman, I have included that because obviously the management is also part of the academic support group, but meron siya kasi yung iba-iba yung atake ng mga iba't ibang leaders ng school, no? But since my boss is a millennial as well, so ang maganda lang din is technology equipped siya. So okay yung mataas yung kanyang TQ. So we gathered together because we're also we convened, meron kaming support sa online or support group that we try to brainstorm, and then we all thought of why not gather everyone, and then yung pwede with and then online, and then we will teach them how to use the tools like yung Google Apps and all of this that we are using nowadays. I think everyone naman knows that. So yun. So the leader, our leader now is also, as a part of the academic support group, is also doing something para pakita nila na hindi lang yung nag-uutos lang. So siya din gumagawa din siya para may influence. And at the same time, we also made sure that the school is also disinfected in time for students to come back here in the school. So para ready na siya. Kasi we're also hoping during that time na baka sana October pwede na silang makabalik. Okay. So for communication support team naman namin. So what we have here, University Radio Station. So actually, ito siguro yung advantage na ng magiging private school. So merong mga ganitong equipment. But what we did was, since hindi siya usual na ginagawa namin during the time na wala pang pandemic. So nag-brainstorm na yung aming communication support team para on how to empower, at the same time, how to provide support to our students and to our community, to the parents, with what we have. Kung ano yung meron kami with the materials that we have yan. So sila to. And so we're now holding sessions like kagaya ng kaagapay, we are also doing broadcasting, no? So what yung sa amin naman ang tawag namin siya kanya is virtual presser. So we have virtual pressers every Friday. So iba't ibang topic like social wellness and then financial wellness. So ini-invite naman yung mga alumni namin, and sometimes other industries as well. So in a way, we're also constantly getting in touch with the industry through this manner. For the management information system support, the team which I lead, is during that time, so me and my team make sure that all internet are okay, internet connection, kasi yun talaga yung aming, yung aming support. So we cannot do face-to-face, so kailangan, since everybody's doing teaching online and all doing their paper, they're doing their documents online, so processing online, so lahat sila dapat may connection. So we ensure that everyone is connected. So very hard in a way kasi sometimes there are things that are really beyond our control. So, but we make sure that the infrastructure is being maintained and being monitored. So we have different campuses. I would like to thank yung mga aming mga admins, yung aming janitor, yung mga aming utility personnel who also help us out with making sure that everything is in place and making sure that every place is clean and maintained. So ito yung aking support group ng Management Information System Department namin dito. So hindi natatapos. So kami yung group na hindi nag-stop mag-work. So which is, we are very thankful for that. So yung nangyari noon, habang wala pang mga klase, we're trying to find ways to ensure everyone that kailangan connected palagi ang aming mga estudyante. We provided support through emails, through chats, kahit anong medium, through phone calls. So at the same time, hindi kami nag-stop pag-plan na when they come back, yung aming mga estudyante po bumalik, ano yung kailangan namin na ready na kami. So this is, we keep on planning, and also we keep on doing things that we usually do to make sure that everything is in place. So yun. So I also would like to thank yung aming Human Resource Department and the Admin Department for making sure that meron kaming care package na nabigay sa aming empleyado. So yung nabigyan namin yung aming mga empleyado ng care package, but I'd like to also thank yung people behind to pack this stuff, no? So these are the people that sabi ko nga unsung heroes kasi hindi sila nabibigyan ng pasalamat sometimes, but I would like to, through this siguro opportunity, would like to thank these people kasi hirap di ba? Yung parang ikaw nagbibigay ng support pero kailangan mo din ng support, or nabibigay ka ng gamit or ikaw din kailangan mo din ng gamit. Okay, so the human resource team naman namin during that time did not stop working. So they worked on having the university accredited during pandemic time. So we were able to get accreditation during the time kahit pandemic siya. So that's one of the silver linings of our pandemic. And we made sure that everyone who exerted effort and also our team that have been working very well every month is being recognized. So meron kaming monthly employee of the month gathering, and then we thank them for their efforts. Okay, so I'm also in charge of the technical and vocational trainings in the university. So meron din kami, kasi naunang nag-face-to-face ang TESDA. So I'd like to share also a little bit of the insights that we prepared as early as December. Pwede na kasi mag-face-to-face yung TESDA program. So we made sure that everything is in place kasi obviously yung TESDA programs, hindi siya pwedeng i-online karamihan. So we have a welding class that we are monitoring right now. So kailangan naka-PPE, may safety officer on site. Yan. So we also made sure, ito yung kung nakikita niyo, may mga barriers yung aming mga upuan. And also, we also made sure that everyone, all the faculty are also getting their guidance, and nag-open forum kami. Siyempre, hindi namin alam kung ano yung mga problema nila. Personally, I think sharing is the best way for them to let out whatever stresses they are experiencing or pressures. So we also had our high school undergo din accreditation. So ganito yung setup namin when we are doing everything online. So lahat kami mask and obviously, but we're all connected. Okay, so these are the support group also of making sure that everything is in place while the accreditation is happening. So our research naman and development is still also hindi sila nag-stop. So we had, during the pandemic, we also opened our museum to showcase all the things. Kasi yung university namin, it was founded, strategic yung location niya. So we also nag-set up them or naglagay din ng ang management ng museum. Para just to also showcase what Zamboanga City has for others. So meron kami nito. Ayan. So we gathered everyone. And then we also have, ayan, so I'm nearing on the last slide. So on personal advocacy, I'd like to share, no, siguro nakikita ni Sir Franco, si friends din kami sa is I think last quarter of last year, what I did was really parang recalibrate my brain and all of this, no. So I made sure that I am now very conscious of my energy. So kung anong energy ang wini-withdraw ko and dinideposit ko. And so these are the things, parang ito yung aking tinitignan palagi. So how do I use my energy? And then, so meron akong ginawang mga strategies sa aking social media account. Para hindi lang ako yung I made a different way of making use of my social media account. So what I did was, bumili ako ng tricycle, or tawag namin dito tuk-tuk jeep. No? So what I did was, in a way, kasi sociable person ako, so naghirapan din ako during the pandemic na hindi nakikipagkita sa aking mga friends. So what I did was, I bought a tricycle. I learned how, during the pandemic, natuto ako mag-drive ng aking tuk-tuk G or tuk-tuk trike. And then I also help support friends. So sometimes wala connection. So since meron akong kakilala sa PLDT, I lend them, or sometimes I deliver some of the stuff. Kasi gusto ko lang na makita sila. But obviously, I'm also in a way parang making myself feel good because I've seen some of my friends. And then, yun. So, yan. And I ask them always kung ano yung, and we do share a lot kung ano yung aming mga pinagdadaanan para at least it lightens up the burden that we feel. Obviously, a lot of us or everyone has personal problems or issues in life or challenges that we also encounter. So yung maganda is we find still ways to be connected. So, yan. So, celebrate birthday, nagbo-bike kami, nagbo-motorbike kami. Yan. And yun, meron akong sa Facebook kasi ang ginagawa ko, meron akong album na puro funny, no? So, I also make fun of myself. Kasi nalalaman ko kasi pag stressed na ako, pag hindi ko napapatawa sarili ko. So, I have these ways of making parang wanting to make myself laugh. So, as gumagawa ako ng mga ganito, para lang matawa lang ako. So, yan. So, kung meron ako mga fun, mahilig ako sa memes. And then, so, but I think this is one of the reasons also got involved with and volunteered with Kaagabay to have this, to be involved in one of the lightning talks is because I really want to hone myself, especially in public speaking and in communications. And I've been training ever since. Obviously, matagal na, but I know I still need to learn more. Yung hunger ko nandun pa rin. So, and then I gusto ko maging effective kasi yun naman talaga, I want to be effective, I want to share with other people. So I think yung spirit of volunteerism ko kasi talaga has been with me since I was in college. So I want that to still continue. I feel parang hindi kompleto pag hindi ako nakakapag-volunteer. And I'm very grateful for all the opportunity that Sir Franco gave me, no? Yes, sir. So before I end my presentation, I'd like to share this quote, obviously, kasi pareho kaming mga ka-Google, no, nila Sir Franco, is from the president, from the CEO of Google. So sabi ni Sundar Pichai, technology alone will not improve education, but it can be a powerful part of the solution. So I hope, but teachers are not the only ones using the technology, but also the academic support group. So yung register natin, yung account section natin, yung guidance counselor natin, yung student support, student disciplinarian natin, these people that you see na hindi lang, aside from your teachers, are also heroes during the pandemic in our educational landscape. So with that, I'd like to thank Kaagapay again for the opportunity. Good morning po.
Hi, hello teachers. For a while lang po, no, nagkaroon lang ako ng problem with one of the videos. So for the meantime, teachers, if you have questions, please do indulge us sa ating chat box, no? Okay, while I retrieve one of the speakers' videos, no. Waiting also with Sir Jambi. Yan. Kaya teachers, no, again, if you have questions, no, napakaganda ng sharing ni Miss Yulin kanina, no. Sabi ko nga, actually nag-uusap kami sa background, no. Parang gusto ko nang lumipat ng Universidad de Zamboanga. The support, no, provided by the community, the support that was made by Miss Yulin to her community is very inspiring, no. At sana again, well, yan yung mga bagay 'no na mapapasana all ka na lang talaga um, sa panahon na 'to 'no. Okay, but again, siguro the inspiration, no, the idea from Miss Yulin is not necessarily about, emphasizing what they have or and what others do not have, okay? But rather, it's, more of I think what I got from, Miss Yulin is really, that idea of, community, how important it is, as we ano 'no, as we move forward in this, pandemic 'no. Yung gaano ka-importante yan, yung si Miss, Yulin talagang bumili pa siya ng tuktok 'no, ng tuktok trike para makapag-interact with other people 'no. So yan yung sana maano natin, magawa natin 'no, ma-continue natin kasi isa yan sa mga magsu-support talaga sa atin, amidst the pandemic. Yan. Okay, teachers. We'll just wait for a while, no, teachers, for this technical difficulty problem. Okay. It's our first time no, to actually run something like this. So it's actually very, very interesting how this actually going well. Okay, teachers, if you were having problems, please do let us know. No? But I hope so far you've been getting a lot from our speakers from today. Okay. I think we're ready to share.
Good morning, everyone. My title is The Use of Instant and Text Messaging as Support to Modular Distance Learning Approach. Actually, this study is still on process because I started this just weeks ago when we had a school webinar about making action research. This study aimed to identify the impact of text messaging as learning support to modular distance learning approach, which we are offering our students. In addition, it also studies the students' perception on the use of text messaging and Facebook Messenger messaging in giving announcements, updates, and reminders about the subject. The participants to this study are 45 grade 7 students who are in the transition period from their elementary years to their secondary years. Unlike before, our school has a program wherein the students were guided in a face-to-face setup so that they can successfully move to the expectations of the high school level. But this year is different, as we all know. Everything was shattered. Delivery of learning became a challenge to us because we as teachers were not used to online learning platforms, much more our students. Not only COVID-19 challenged us Batangueños in the year 2020, but also the eruption of the Taal volcano. That is why from January 12 to March, we were not allowed to go to school. Then after a fortnight of coming back to school, we were suddenly interrupted by COVID-19 that all plans have to be canceled or restructured. In the beginning, we thought it would just last for a month, a week, or so, and then we'll go back to our old normal. But from then on up to now, we have been writing the history that changes the course of our educational setup. This scenario has posed lots of problems, and one of which is the digital divide. Before this pandemic, I was one of those teachers who do not allow the use of cell phone inside the classroom. Actually, it was one of the prohibitions as listed in our agreement with students and parents. Our students also do not have internet connection that can be enjoyed inside the campus because of the capacity the local provider can give to. Only teachers were or can be given access to. Sometimes most of us or only a few of us can connect as well. During those times, I do not appreciate the use of cell phones inside the classroom. But after coming back from a maternity leave this year, I was surprised how the pandemic affected the delivery of education. Though I was one of those who were hands-on in crafting our school's learning continuity plan, I never realized how hard it was to implement pure modular approach until I saw my students' records of written outputs and performance tasks. You may shrug shoulders that we are only using text messaging and Facebook messaging as support to MDL. Maybe you would laugh at us, but what can you expect? Only 10 among 35 teachers have laptops and broadband Wi-Fi connection at home. 25 have laptops but do not have internet connection because of the area. It is not it cannot it's not accessible for them. Although the global index ranked the Philippines 96 all over the world for mobile speed and 100 yet for fixed broadband speeds during 2020, it's still far from uh, the regional leader Singapore's 229.42 Mbps speed for fixed broadband and 64 Mbps speed for mobile connection. And maybe, as I have said, this is true in the metro, but for some of us in the province, it is a totally different scenario. The Philippines, of course, as we all know, became the texting capital as early as 2000. From then on, a subscriber was said to send an average of 600 messages per month. In 2019, however, text messages sent by Filipinos decreased by 40% because of the popularity of smartphones and Wi-Fi and data subscription. As Tony Bradenberg said, access everywhere is an issue because not everybody is as fortunate as everybody else. And that is true with our students. In a survey conducted among my students, only 83% have their personal computers or personal cell phones, while the rest are borrowing from parents or siblings. It is quite upsetting, but we have to look at all sorts of solutions so that we would be able to continue education. As the mandate of DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones, education must continue. Although I would want to use Zoom, Google Meet, Edmodo, ThingLink, Mentimeter, and other applications that I want to integrate with my teaching sessions, since I have learned this from attending local and international webinars, doing so would only mean that I am maximizing the gap among my students, because most of the students are only depending on data subscription. So why text and instant messaging? Text messaging can promote an active learning environment, facilitate the building of a learning community, provide feedback, and increase student motivation. Looking into our context, this is the best thing that we can use because this is most common among us, students and teachers. And I also found out that there are studies abroad and also in the Philippines which talks about the effectiveness of these platforms as a support to learning delivery. So based on the survey, here are the important points that I have gathered. So students agree on the following. Text and instant messages allow the students to get in touch with the teacher right away. Because of this, I have to open my cell phone 24/7. And I see to it that I answer their queries as long or as soon as I read them. Because I know students data subscription can end for a period or they may lose connection because of the problem in access. Number two, it is a great way to get quick updates and reminders because as we all know, everybody is bringing cell phone everywhere they go. So you do not need to be on your computer to get access to subject information. It is also helpful for supporting brief or time-sensitive issues. Number three, both are useful to share quick links to websites that are useful for the subject matter. But in this case, sending it in group chats or in Facebook Messenger messaging is more accessible because the students can access them at once and the teacher can monitor who have read the message. File transfer of photos and listening text, short video clips, and the like are also done easier in Facebook Messenger app. Number 4, instant messaging allows multiple chat sessions, and topics can be discussed back and forth, allowing virtual interactions between and among students and subject teachers. Students also can read or can backread from the group chat any missed information because answers to personal queries of students are also posted in the group chat. Students' records of written and performance activities show that those who interact with the teacher have improved their records of activities. On the other hand, those who seldom contact with the teacher have some missing activities. And this would, the effectiveness of this action or of this act will be would be found after 2 weeks when I have seen the grades of the students who undergo the study. Okay, although I am just using texting and instant messaging, I hope that with this action, I am minimizing the gap for digital literate individuals who are expected to live, learn, and work in a society where communication and access to information is done through digital technologies like internet platforms, social media, and mobile devices. With my students who do not own a personal cell phone, I hope that there would be benevolent individuals there or groups who would help me in my cell phone project, which means creating educational legacy by providing online network experience. I believe by doing so, you would be able to touch more lives. We would be able to have a more effective uh, uh, minimizing of gaps among our students. For the access to the internet, we will be partnering with barangay officials and the ICT so that free Wi-Fi for all would be installed in the locality. And we are also looking forward to having tech for ed centers in the barangay so that those who do not have cell phones or tablets can be helped. Actually, I talked to one of the municipal employees who is in charge of this, and he said that there would be tech for ed centers in our area or in our locality. So with this, thank you for the opportunity. God bless everyone. Let us continue learning from each other. Thank you, Kaagapay teacher, support for the opportunity. It is a great morning spent with you all. Thank you very much.
Ang ganda ng sharing na yun, Sir Jambi, no? Punong-puno. I think we've got almost everything, no? Siksik, liglig. At nasa set number 2 pa lang tayo, Sir Jambi, no? Sir Jambi, bago pa tayo
Correct.
mag-entertain ng questions, no? Gusto ko na kaagad i-heads up ang ating mga audience. Baka po kailangan nating lunch over sa webinar because we'll be extending to 12:30 today, no? Because we still have set number 3. Pero anyway, Sir Jambi, go ahead.
Ayan. And then gusto ko lang i-share sa mga sa mga viewers din natin, pati sa speakers natin kasi meron din pong separate meeting pa na nagaganap habang habang nanonood tayo sabay-sabay ng mga sharing nila. May separate kaagapay admin meeting pa na nagaganap. Ganun kami ka-inspired nila Sir Franco, Sir Angelo dahil sa mga sinishare po ninyo kaya asahan po ninyo marami na namang kaliwat kanang ilalabas si Sir Franco ng mga webinars.
Teachers, no? Actually, madaming nakarelate kanina. Ang dami ko nakita mga comments, no? Lalo doon sa na-share ni Miss Liberty, no? So I think many of our audience din. Doon kay Miss Yulin kanina, madaming nainggit. Madaming nainggit sa Universidad de Zamboanga. Miss Yulin, isa po sa mga tanong actually nila ay kung may opening daw po ba sa Universidad de Zamboanga.
I'll ask HR.
Yun. Yes, pero yun, maraming salamat for the sharing, no. Sir Alwin, ako habang wala pa pong tanong from the audience, no, gusto ko muna pong magtanong dun sa Wordwall, okay? So si Wordwall po ba ay both applicable for instruction and for assessments po ba siya?
So for Wordwall, it's for us to use it for instruction. Parang if may nakita din po akong question kanina kung pwede siya na live. So pag for us to be able to use it live, kailangan po natin ng paid account. So yes po. And then I just like how are you going to do that? Parang gumawa din po tayo, nagpalaro din po tayo through quizzes or Kahoot. So yun po yung similarities niya. Pero yung difference nila for Kahoot and quizzes kasi pwede na siyang mag-go live, pwede na siyang gamitin for instruction per se. Kahit na nasa basic account po tayo. But for Wordwall, yun po yung isang limitation. Hindi po natin ma-access yun kung hindi po siya kung hindi po tayo naka-paid account.
Sir Alwin, na bang address niyang Wordwall?
Nakausapin na po ni Sir Franco yan agad.
Kakausapin natin. Yun. Anyway po, yun, Sir Jambi, baka ikaw meron kang questions for Miss Liberty and Miss Yulin. Kasi ang audience natin, wala pa masyadong questions, no?
Oo. Nakita ko lang yung hashtag sana all.
Yes, sana all talaga. Napasana all talaga lahat kay Miss Yulin. Ano? Ang ganda, ang ganda. Pero again nga, sabi ko kanina, what I really got from Miss Yulin, of course, bukod doon sa inggit, ay yun talagang importance ng community, no? And parang sarap maging kaibigan ni Miss Yulin, no? Yung susundin ka ni Miss Yulin, sasabay ka sa kanya sa tok-tok, sa kwentuhan, di ba? Pero tama si Miss Yulin, no? Again, napaka-importante po ng community as a support. That's precisely as well, no? Bakit meron po tayong kaagapay teacher support. Miss Yulin, siguro question. Ano pa yung of all the things that you've been doing right now, what are you looking, moving forward, ano pa yung in store for Universidad de Zamboanga, which you think should also be applied by other schools? Ano pa yung mga in-plans po natin? Or meron po ba kayong mga visions for Universidad de Zamboanga as a support system to your faculty and staff?
Okay. Yung sa support system, actually, ang struggle ko pa for now is really to obviously we're also yung Google Advocacy is kung meron yung dati kasi sa support team ko lang. So ang nangyayari, hindi pa lahat ng teachers really kasi biglaan yung di ba, yung pandemic. So nahirapan sila na yung kung ano yung, kasi ako kung dati ko nagde-training ako, hindi ako namimilit. So kung kunyari, eto yung, tapos I think I lack follow-up as well kasi siguro konti lang kami sa support group noon. So hindi ko na-follow up kung naintindihan ba nila or what, or na-apply ba nila. So nung nag-pandemic, parang windang sila bigla na, yung dati palang tinuturo or skill na binigay sa amin or na sana na enhance nila, ngayon, gamit na gamit ngayon. So, yung mga who answered the call before nung nagte-training kami, yun yung madaling naka-adapt. So ngayon, yung struggle namin is yung not just because kailangan siya, yung love for the technology as well, na as an to be integrated in education. Kaya yun ang kailangan, magkaroon sila ng passion. Kasi once na-trigger mo yung passion within ng isang teacher na, gusto kong matuto nitong technology na to. Kasi gagamitin ko siya sa itong subject na to. Like, for example, si Sir Al, kung anong tinuro niya. Kumbaga, maiengganyo sila, kahit anong age ng teacher. Meron akong mga naturuan, retireable na, pero yung pa yung mas mabilis na adapt sa technology. Meron naman meron naman din kasi mga medyo bata, obviously they lack pa yung parang ethics in a way for online. So yun naman ang meron ng experience ng medyo mature na sa education. So kailangan yung kailangan i-balance sa yung dalawa. So yun ang goal ko for all our teachers. At the same time, I'm also helping out sometimes sa DICT and also with DepEd. Kasi yun din yung personal advocacy. Kasi feeling ako sa akin personally, ayoko yung kami lang ang matututo. Gusto ko, iba din. So, hindi, kasi it really feels different. I know you also siguro can relate because both you, Sir Jambi, and you, Sir Franco, are doing this. No? Even if we are both, pare-pareho tayong nasa private institution, pero yung need natin to help out those who lack pa sa training siguro or support like this. Kasi yung ginagawa natin, ito yung academic support group na pero kayo ginagawa niyo to ng pro bono, right? So yun yung I think what your goal is also my goal in a way for the university and at the same time for our nearby communities here in Zamboanga. Kumbaga region by region ng ating tinutulungan. So yun, hopefully yun ang ma-impart. At the same time, for on the students part naman, sir, nakikita ko kasi alam niyo naman yung mga bata ngayon generation, very hyper, very outspoken. Sometimes kailangan mo i-remind that they need to validate the information. So kailangan, siguro ako din kasi medyo tita na rin tayo, minsan nauubusan ng pasensya. So yung pasensya siguro, I really remind myself always na pag nakikipag-usap ako sa estudyante, medyo makulit, and also to guide them, no? To guide them na kung, ma'am, paano ba to? Paano ba yung ganyan? Nakita ko ang isang factor lang talaga na what that works kahit anong engagement is just always show the other person na may respeto ka. Kasi pag may respeto ka, re-respetuhin ka din. So maganda yung relationship nyo. So maganda na yung pananaw sa'yo ng bata na, ay, mabait sa akin si ma'am. So approachable ka na. So ganun din ang magiging, it also replicates, kumbaga, kung saan ka nag-work, anong grupo ka. So parang mas positive vibes. So mas maganda siyang bungad na energy. Kasi yung talaga yung parang winort out ko din sa sarili ko. Ano mga practices or yung ginagawa ko ba na nagbibigay sa akin ng positive energy para meron din ako ma-withdraw mamaya po kunyari merong nag-negative factor or negative na nangyari. So kailangan ko mag-withdraw ng energy sa sarili ko Pero kung may pondo ko na maraming positive because I had interaction with good people na binigyan ko din ng respeto, nagbigay din sa akin ng respeto, then that's I can survive the day. So yun, parang ganun lang, Sir Franco. Ay, mahaba-haba na.
Napakaganda, no? I think magkakaroon tayo ng collaborative group, no, sa Zamboanga, Sir Jambi, no?
Oh, I hope so. Sige.
Yes, but definitely,
Sabi
mamaya po
sa'yo
mag-uusap na po tayo kagad, Miss Celine, ma'am. Just kidding.
Oh, sige po.
Miss Liberty, maraming salamat po, Miss Liberty, no, sa sharing niyo. I think marami sa ating audience kayo na sobrang nakarelate kasi marami naka-modular, nagte-text messaging, tsaka instant messaging, no? Pero Miss Liberty, no, moving forward for next year, how do you think what are the changes siguro or ano pa yung mga dapat nating gawin in terms of implementation ng text messaging at instant messaging? Kailangan ba i-require na kagad to sa lahat? Kasi una ngayon sa taon na to, hindi siya required. Parang naging siyang option, naging siyang alternative. Pero do you think it's something that we can like standardize for next year?
Mas maganda po siguro standardize natin ang text and instant messaging. And hindi lang po dapat tayo huminto doon sa text and instant messaging. Actually po, sa klase ko, by Monday, we are going to try Zoom. Natutuwa naman po ako kasi sila ay nag-open sa akin na, ma'am, yung pong may mga signal or may mga gadget, so they are willing to have a Zoom class. Di nga lang po, yung mga wala, ay di naiiwan, pero at least they are being supported through text and instant messaging. Ano po? So, kumbaga, hindi dapat tumigil sa text and instant messaging lamang. Naiinggit nga po ako dun sa ibang speakers kasi nakakatuwa na ganun ang kanilang setup samantalang kami ay ganito. Pero ginagawa naman din po namin ang lahat para matulungan namin ang aming mga estudyante. Ano po? So, yun po. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat, no. I think what we get from here, no, Sir Jambi, is that we have different contexts, no. Pero at the same time, on the same level, we are encountering difficulties at a different plane. So sabi nga ni Miss Yulin, respeto. Okay, so magkakaiba tayo ng pinagdadaanan, so it's really respect, no? And siguro, yakapin, nga, kanina nga, na-mention kanina sa first set, yung yakapin natin yung konteksto natin. Kasi doon lang natin talaga makakapag-adjust, okay? Kasi isang taon na po tayo, no? Huwag na po tayo masyado mag-deny. Huwag na po natin asahan na babalik agad tayo sa normal. So kasi pag yan po talaga minsan, no, yung ganong klase na mentality holds us back from moving forward.
Yes. Sir,
So,
ako can I share also with Ma'am Liberty? Kasi
go ahead lang po.
I used to teach in a high school, in a state university. So public school siya before ako nag-private. So, ang nakikita ko kasi doon, yung time ko na experience ko when I was in a public school was the time that I was really parang feeling ko, ang dami kong tinetesting, ang dami kong parang ina-experiment. So, feeling ko doon ako naging creative. These are the times na mas, na-appreciate ko. Kasi like yung ginagawa mo ngayon, yan nakakakuha ka ng maraming ideas kasi gusto mong bigyan ng solusyon. Kasi yung goal mo naman talaga is makapagturo, di ba? Makapag-share sa mga bata. So actually, naiingit din ako sa mga ganyan na meron kang challenge na ganyan. Kasi meron ding setback sometimes if you have all the tools, magiging complacent ka na sometimes. So meron din kaming sariling set of problems and issues here as a private university na wala sa inyo. Pero yung kayo naman yung ganyan, obviously meron din solution sa amin. That's why this is a very good platform also to exchange ideas. So, yung magmainggit, pare-pareho tayo merong issues, kumbaga. So, yung, iba sabi nga nila, pag may problema, ang hinanap natin solusyon. So, yan sa'yo, kung ma-perfect mo yung platform mo or yung strategy mo on teaching using the text, that's SMS, that's a very, very good, kumbaga, achievement. So, na worth emulating for other DepEds or public schools. Share mo na yung experience mo.
Yeah.
Thank you po, Miss Yulin.
Yeah, Miss Liberty, we will be more than glad to help you, no? One of these days, we might contact you. We'll be meeting you. Baka pwede ka namin tulungan on creating like a module or protocols for the use of text messaging for online classes. So, we'll help you out. Ibo-broadcast natin to, papalakihin natin. Kasi feeling ko madami makikinabang on whatever you have studied so far. Okay? So,
Thank you so much
teachers,
po. Thank you po.
yan. Miss Yulin, Miss Liberty, Sir Alwin will say goodbye for now and we'll be
Thank you.
moving forward to our third set pala for today. Yan, teachers, pakikuha na po ang inyong mga lunch, no? Paki-ready na po yung lunch nyo sa inyong side kasi po we'll be extending a little bit for today. Yes, okay. Yung po mga naka-mobile phones, yan, punta na muna po tayo sa kitchen o kaya mag-order na po tayo ng ating lunch para sa araw na to. Kasi we'll be extending, teachers. Nakita niyo kung gaano kalaman at gaano ka siksik si Sir Jambi, no? So we'll be moving, Sir Jambi, with our third set.
Ulo ko, Sir Franco. Kasi ang dami kong gustong i-share, tapos may i-share. Naku, gusto ko ulit mag-share. Tapos, nagpapatang na. Pero,
Yes.
before we introduce our third set of speakers, share ko lang how very excited I am about the things that can happen outside our webinar today. So, I have a feeling meron na dyan yung biglang kukontakin si ganyan or I can help you out. O kaya, kukontakin si Sir ganyan, si Ma'am ganyan. Sir, can we talk? Baka pwede natin i-apply yan sa school namin. So, ayan, again, very excited about the many possibilities na mabubuksan because of our lightning talks. And again, sabi ni Sir Franco, second set pa lang po yun. Meron pa tayong third set na hindi ko na naman mabasa yung text. Di bale, back to our kodigo. Third set of speakers, last na po for today. Again, habang binabasa ko po, hindi po ako ma-offend kung kukuha muna kayo ng lunch. We have from University of San Carlos, Cebu City. Wow. We have Miss Jemima Neris A. Yero. And then we have from Panalawan, Montia An Central Elementary School, Lanao del Sur. Ano ba to? Bubong or Bubong Lanao del Sur. Farhana Bayabaw Sultan. And from St. Jude Catholic School, Quezon City, Ms. Maria Ana Pauline Cruz. Yeah, Sir Franco, exciting.
So, So, Sir Jambi, let's now proceed with our first speaker for the third set.
The pandemic has significantly changed the way we teach. It has altered the teaching methods and strategies we used to be so comfortable with, and now we are compelled to be adaptive to these rapid changes in our community. It has always been our goal to facilitate a meaningful teaching and learning experience and to put our learners at a top priority. But setting aside all of our thoughts for our learners, let us take this moment to introspect, reflect, and ask, as an educator, how am I doing now? How does this pandemic affect me personally and professionally? I personally describe this pandemic as a quiet time. In the process, we might have elicited many realizations, questions, and the like, but not all thoughts imply optimism. Rather, we might have developed self-defeating thoughts instead. At some point, we might have asked, are the things I do enough? Am I making any progress? Should I consider a paradigm shift? Do I have enough reasons to stay committed to what I am doing? Ironically, this moment of silence has made us vulnerable. It is making us fragile from the inside, and things are undeniably overwhelming. It is becoming more common to hear people expressing their confusion, their doubts, and their longing for progress. The force of our halted desires and goals is strongly felt, and we are agitated to know what lies in the near future. We might have found ourselves writing our modules at the same time, questioning why we are doing it. We might have found ourselves exhausting our energy and losing the meaning we once understood in the process of pursuing our passion. As someone who advocates for mental health and well being, I am calling out my fellow educators to take care of themselves. May we all be reminded that our effectiveness as a teacher lies not simply on our knowledge and skills, but also on our well being. How can we deliver our class instructions effectively if we ourselves are no longer at our best? How can we continue touching the lives of our learners if we have lost that joy, that passion, and sense of purpose? My fellow educators, let us value ourselves as much as we value our learners. A person who is able to sustain one's mental health and well-being has the ability to overcome the daily stressors in life, work productively, sustain meaningful relationships, and maximize one's potential. This is an ideal teacher. Let us take care and continue developing the aspects of ourselves. It is essential that we engage in activities that allow us to develop our physical, intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual aspects. These aspects, when they are developed and sustained, will allow us to find effective ways to overcome our difficulties, be more equipped in dealing with the changes around us, and ultimately, these are the components that make up a teacher who is effective and inspiring. So, let's do ourselves a favor because we deserve it as much as everybody else. The aspects of ourselves are what makes up a person's holistic development. In the process of understanding this concept, let us assess ourselves. We all know the basics of developing the personal aspects of an individual. However, sometimes we fail to put that knowledge into action. We focus on priorities such as our family, our students, work, and other activities, but we have forgotten to take time to uphold our well being by doing something that enhances our health, harness our cognitive skills, protect our psychological well being, sustain harmonious relationships, and reflect on our actions. Our well being is an armor that protects us from the challenging situations of life. Rest because it is a must. We might be chased after deadlines, meetings, deliberations, and other engagements, but find time to rest. Harness your intellectual skills through fun learning activities. There are more resources than the textbooks of the students. Watch that documentary film you have always wanted. Read that book you have long displayed on your shelf. Learn that skill you have always desired to equip yourself with. Express your emotions, most especially the negative ones. Overcome those self defeating thoughts. Reflect on how you typically react to situations and find the means to overcome your emotional turmoil. Then, let this be your mantra. A positive thought generates a positive feeling and a positive action. Spend every day meaningfully with your significant others. Reach out when you need help. Connect with your colleagues. Sustain and protect your personal relationships by spending quality time with your loved ones. Our work is never ending, but opportunities may run out. Time is never earned, it is simply spent, so use it meaningfully and wisely. Reassess your plans and goals. Be evaluative. Reflect on your values. Strengthen your intrapersonal relationship. Remind yourself of what you value the most in life. Awaken that passion in you. Teaching is more meaningful when we continue to sustain and develop the different aspects of ourselves. I hope that we continue to cheerfully do our daily tasks and joyfully interact with our learners in any way possible. I hope that we continue to build ourselves up personally and professionally through faith, grit, perseverance, optimism, and all other essential values. Let us continue to inspire one another as we seek for progress. And I hope that we will be able to attain that self-fulfillment we have always dreamed of, even in times of pandemic. And lastly, let us be at our best so that our learners will be at their best as well. I am Jemima Neris A. Yero from the University of San Carlos in Cebu City, and I'm grateful for this privilege to be able to share a message to you.
Teachers out there, this one is for you. How are we going to keep our kindergarten online classes just like a river, smooth sailing even if there are some challenges? Here are some tips how. R. Rules and tone. Our online classroom rules is the same as our face-to-face classroom rules. It has to be firm, few, and simple. Establishing these rules are not for us to control our students, but to give them equal and fair opportunity, as well as creating a safe online learning environment. Remember, teachers, these rules should be achievable by 4 to 6 years old. Take note also, teachers, how do you communicate with your students? Remember the quote, it is not what you said, and it's how you said it. How do you want to sound like? Ask yourself if this is the clearest way to express your ideas that kids can understand. Think of why you are communicating it for. Is it for giving instructions? Then it should be short and clear. Is it for giving tasks? Then you have to repeat it twice or thrice so that kids can understand and do what you want them to do. You can even sing it out. Just like in my own classroom, whenever I ask them to get their whiteboard, I always sing, "Get your whiteboard, get your marker, and eraser." So I actually made that one out of the blue because I personally get bored in saying, "Oh, can you please get your whiteboard? Can you please get your marker?" Remember, keep it short, clear, and easy to remember as well as understand. You can use visual cues during virtual classes that matches our instructions, just like when you ask them to turn off their microphone or their cameras on. I. Interest. If you know where the students are interested in, you can use that to keep them engaged in our online class discussions. If they like animals, you can have an online zoo or jungle field trip. You can even have your alphabet as animals. And who knows, they might even give you trivia about the animals that you know or you may not know. You also have to check your presentations. You have to use eye-catchy presentations, but not too much. Focus on the topic and avoid distractions. Ask yourself to, is my font size too small or too big? If is my font style the basic lettering or is it calligraphy that they may not even read? Is the image I added appropriate to their age? Am I using too many animations? Is my background overpowering my lesson? We use digital media to support our class, and we utilize our platforms for fun learning like storytelling or online stories. If you want stories that has guided reading, you can even access websites like books. And if you want it local, there's YouTube channel that is by storyteller MNL and Adarna House. In storytelling too, if you can act it out or voice it out, do it. Here's a line from That Won't Wake Me Up, published by Adarna House. Taho! Ang sarap ng taho! Sabi ni Maya, pero hindi pa rin ako magigising yan. Sabay, hagigig! By doing this, you don't just tell the story, but you are practicing showing of emotions and making the story come to life. You can use audiobooks, songs, and videos, and make sure you listen and watch it before you present it to class. For online games, we have websites like ABCya that are age appropriate for our kindergarten students. We also have song for transitions, or if you want to check their attention, you can sing hand, hand, clap your hands. Arm, arm, fold your arms. Arm, arm, fold your arms. There are also different free or paid online resources that we can use during our class. But take note of the copyright issues. Virtual events like Halloween and Christmas are very fun to do in our online classes too. When you give them assignments or tasks, make sure that it will boost their creativity and other intelligences, and you might even build new interests or enhance what they already have. V. Values. As young as kindergarten, we can practice positive digital citizenship and netiquette. Remember teachers, whatever you show your students, they will imitate it. At sasabihin pa nila, sabi ni teacher eh. Trust me, kids understand things that we think they don't, but they actually do. If you're in a Catholic school just like me, we integrate our prayers and spiritual belief. When my students are feeling sad or even happy, we pray together. I also teach them to be grateful to whatever blessings we receive. We can also integrate our own Filipino values like pakikisama, tanggapin ang pagkakamali at subukan natin uli, at pagmamahal para sa pamilya, as well as sharing at helping. Stories and songs can help us teach values to our students. Katulad na lang ng mga kanta ni Teacher Cleo na talaga naman kapupulutan natin ng mga aral. E. Encourage. Nasubukan mo na bang sabihin sa mga estudyante mo na, may tiwala ako sa'yo. Kaya mo yan. Subukan natin uli. These may be big words, but it matters to the child. It matters kasi naipakita mo na nagtitiwala ka sa kanya na kahit bata lang siya. At kahit bata lang siya, may mga bagay pala siya na kaya niyang gawin. At higit sa lahat, naiparamdam mo na nauunawaan mo siya at nakikinig ka sa kanya. I also suggest that if you're going to use words of encouragement, try to use more words that are not common. One hack is you Google it. I personally Google my words of encouragement and I make it personalized. It depends on what the student achieved at kung ano ang nagawa niya sa aming klase o sa araw na iyon. You can even give rewards. Ako sa klase ko, nagbibigay ako ng stars. Pero alam ng mga estudyante ko na hindi nila basta-basta yun makukuha at hindi ko araw-araw binibigay. Sinasabi ko sa kanila na may mga bagay na nagagawa nila na deserve nila ang star. Pero may mga bagay rin sila na ginagawa nila na alam naman nilang kahit walang star, masaya sila na gawin yun. So teachers, you have to be careful in giving rewards. Kasi instead na mapabuti pa sana ang reward mo, baka mamaya hindi pa pala. So iisipin ng bata na sa kada may ginagawa siya, may makukuha siya. Which is hindi naman maganda, hindi ba? Kaya kung magbibigay tayo ng reward sa kanila, ingatan natin ang pagbibigay ng rewards at siguraduhin natin na naintindihan nila ang konsepto na kung bakit at para saan ang reward na nakuha nila. In this way, they are encouraged, they are motivated, and they will believe in themselves more. In the long run, they will develop their self-confidence and self-esteem. R. Be ready! So teachers, let's smile to our students kahit hindi pa maganda ang ating gising. Kasi mahalaga sa kanila na nakangiti ka at masaya ka nakikita mo sila. And we dress appropriately too for our class. If you have your uniform, you can wear that. Or if you're going to wear something more comfortable, please make sure that you're wearing appropriate clothes for our class. At I personally believe na hindi natin kailangan ng sobrang makeup kasi mas na-appreciate ng mga bata at mas gusto nilang nakikita ang natural expression mo at ang natural na mukha mo. At kung kaya rin natin, sana teachers kumain tayo bago tayo magsimula ng klase. Kasi ang energy ng mga bata ay sobrang taas, mas mataas pa sa bandwidth ng Google Meet at ng Zoom. At paano naman natin masasabayan yon kung tayo mismo ay naghihina? Kaya sana alagaan din natin ang ating mga sarili. Prepare all the materials that you need, whether it's a props, you like books, or videos. At teachers, kung ayaw natin mag-buffer ang ating mga videos, pwede natin itong i-preload bago ang klase o bago mo ito i-play sa kanila. Check your microphone and your camera. Alam mo, ang mga estudyante ko, sa totoo lang, hinahanap nila ako sa tuwing naka-off ang aking camera. Kaya pag i-off ko ang camera ko, sasabihin ko pa na kailangan ko mag-off ng camera kasi mag-play ako ng video para hindi mag-buffer at naiintindihan naman nila yun. And also, teachers, you make eye contact and use good body language. Pag wala ka kasing eye contact, students might feel na you're not paying attention and you're not listening to them. You can even end the class with different ways of saying goodbye. Like you say, see you later, alligator, bye bye bye, butterfly. You show your best you even if you are in a tiny square sa gadget nila. Huwag kang mag-alala, teacher, kasi mas malaki ang impluensya mo kaysa dyan sa maliit na square o kahon na kung nasaan ka man sa gadget nila. At higit sa lahat, teacher, iparamdam mo na nagturo ka ng galing sa puso. Alam ko nauubos tayo at napapagod, pero nararamdaman ng mga bata kung tayo ay nagtuturo at sincere sa mga sinasabi natin sa kanila. Mistakes can happen and that's okay. We don't have to be proud of ourselves na hindi tayo nagkakamali. Remember, have patience, be positive, and teach from the heart. Our kindergarten journey may not always be smooth sailing, merong bagyo, may mga bato-bato, at mahirap man ang paglalayag natin. Basta para sa kinabukasan ng ating mga bata. Laban lang, teacher. Andito kami, kasama mo sa iyong biyahe. Trust yourself and enjoy the ride. Sana sa mga kapwa ko guro, may mga natutunan kayo na maaari nyo rin magamit para sa inyong kindergarten online classes. Hanggang sa muli nating biyahe!
Ayan, maraming salamat kay Teacher Maria Ana Pauline Cruz. Ayan, gusto ko yung comment ng isa nating kasama na paano daw mag-enroll sa klase ni Miss Pau. Correct, ako rin. Parang gusto kong bumalik sa preschool. In fact, ayan, mga kasama natin na kaagapay. Isa yan sa mga biglaang realizations namin nila Sir Franco and Sir Jello na oo nga, baka we need someone na from the preschool. Kasi 'di ba, hindi natin dapat makalimutan yung mga mag-aaral natin from preschool Kasi diyan yung ano nila eh, diyan yung umpisa nila. So it's the best it's the best age to start. Gusto natin prepared sila for what they're going to encounter in the future. Ma-apply natin lahat ng natututunan natin every week. So maganda siguro mag-start din tayo from preschool. So tama si Teacher Pau and yan, that's also why I'm very excited about this lightning talks. Sana kayo rin po kasi ang dami-dami po naming kaliwat kanang realizations, mga sumasangang webinars, etc., etc. So, una po, I think I should apologize kasi paalis-alis ako, pabalik-balik ako. Share ko po siguro sa inyo kung saan ako nagpupunta. I had my eyes checked. Ayan, nagkataon din po siguro na may dumating din po dito sa area namin, nag-offer ng free check-up. And this is why naniniwala ako doon sa everything has a reason. Kasi alam niyo po, pagkatapos nung eye check-up ko, I got to talk with the people from the eye doctor group. Tapos sabi nila, they realized na yung mga teachers are some of the most affected, lalo na yung mga nag-online teaching, they're some of the most affected sa mata nila. So, tatapusin ko lang po yung talks with them, pero very very soon we will share with you how you can get in touch with them kasi they're apparently offering kung kunyari sa school, they can go to your school. Kung nakakapunta kayo sa school, pwede nilang ibigay sa inyo ng installment, pwede nilang ibigay sa inyo ng mas mababang presyo, I suppose, kasi nga they realize how very important or how much our eyes are affected lalo na ngayon sa panahon ng online teaching. Siguro pwede rin natin silang ma-invite, siguro kahit quick sharing on how to care for our eyes sa panahon ngayon na 4, 5, maybe even more than 8 hours tayong nakaharap sa ating mga computer. So, yun, may ibinunga naman pala yung aking paglabas-labas. Sir Franco, I see a different video screen na. Does that mean we're ready for another video? Hi, Miss Liberty.
Yes, we're ready na po, Sir Jam.
Yes, go ahead. And this is another video from the third set. Enjoy po. Ayan. Hello po mga kaagapay. Ayan. I don't know if it's just me. Perhaps you can help confirm also sa ating comment section. Parang wala po atang audio yung ating video. Ayan. Wag po kayo maglala. We will attempt our very best to fix that. In the meantime, Sir Franco? Ayan, baka pwedeng interview natin yung ibang teachers natin.
We'll be checking kung bakit walang audio pumapasok, no. Pero the video is playing na, Sir Jambi, no.
Sige, I'll get the video from you na lang. Tas interviewin mo muna yung sila Miss Pau.
Okay, so siguro po let's welcome first our the speakers, no, from the third set. Let's welcome Miss Pau and Miss Jimaima, okay, who shared with us earlier, no. Okay. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon po.
Hello, good afternoon, Miss Pao. Miss Pao, grabe yung energy kanina.
Thank you po, sir.
We just wait for Miss Jemima to come in, no? Yan. Um, hello po, Miss Jemima also. Okay, ang ganda rin.
Hi.
Grabe, ganda. Grabe yung mga videos na pa-shared, no? Yan, I think may problem lang sa video ni Miss Jemima. No? You can reset Miss Jemima. Anyway, Miss Pao, okay? Actually very personal yung question ko actually, no? Kasi I have grade 1 na kids, no? Grade 1 na yung mga anak ko, okay? And isa sa mga anak ko is that how do you go about it? Kasi for me kasi the preschool, no, yung early childhood education, is just a very personal, very yung talagang nasa loob ng classroom, playful. So how do you do that online? So paano, how do you go about it? Ano yung mga challenges nyo? And how are your students reacting to it?
Thank you po sir sa question. Actually po mahirap po talaga magturo ng kindergarten online. Yun din po yung worry ng mga co-teachers ko kasi they're young. Siyempre mas kailangan nila ng personal interactions po. And we actually try to accommodate yung mga needs din ng bata kahit online na. Dapat yung lessons namin, hindi siya boring lang. Dapat integrated siya sa mga different values po namin and sa mga skills, especially DepEd is meron po silang checklist na fina-follow din po namin. And actually, we also talk to the parents. Mas kailangan po ngayon ng talagang parents communication. Kasi po, sila po yung mas nakakasama nila. Kaya po, eventually, kapag may mga kahit konting happening lang sa classroom, we try to talk to the parents. And actually maganda rin po na aside sa parents, yung co-teachers mo din po talaga ang maaasahan mo. Kasi hindi mo talaga 'to kaya na mag-isa. You also need the ideas of your co-teachers, especially yung mga mas bata pa po para para spiral din po yung ginagawa niyo at pare-parehas din po kayo. And of course, ako po personally, I always search po online lang din. Tapos pag may mga ideas ako nakikita, I ask my co-teachers, baka pwede po natin gawin 'to. And my co-teachers are very willing and happy naman na i-accommodate and ayusin din po para po sa curriculum din po ng school namin.
Ang ganda, ang galing. Nakakatuwa. Sobrang tuwa kanina sa presentation mo. Nag-enjoy ako talaga sa Anyway, isa kasi sa mga concerns natin syempre, no, lalo na pagdating sa yung pong pag-balance siguro, Miss Pao, ng asynchronous tsaka synchronous. So do you have more synchronous than asynchronous or pareho lang naman, Miss Pao?
Pansin ko po sa school namin balance po siya.
Balance naman,
Oo,
balance.
pero parang ako po mas enjoy ko po yung synchronous namin kasi
Oo.
nakakasama ko po yung mga kids ko
Yes.
and
Yeah.
parang may mga nagagawa po kami ta's nakikita ko din on hand yung mga kunyari sinusulat po nila, kino-color nila, ganyan. For asynchronous po kasi, aside po na match po siya sa lessons, we try na hindi po siya yung traditional. Kasi before very traditional, you have to answer your book lang. So kami po, naggagawa din po kami ng mga activities na talaga po namang mabu-boost din yung intelligences and interest ng kids. Hindi lang po siya basta magbabasa ng libro lang, magsasagot lang ng workbook, kundi may iba rin po talaga.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Miss Pao. Miss Jemima, grabe yung video parang
Hi.
professionally made. Nahiya ako sa mga videos ko sa teacher support. So maraming salamat at saka pero I think pero siyempre isa yan sa pinaka-concern talaga, Miss Jemima, ngayon, no, because no one was prepared. Okay, so walang nakapag-training, walang
Exactly,
nakapag-mindset,
sir.
no, yung tipong going into the pandemic, walang nakapagsabi na ready na ako sa pandemic, parang gano'n. So wala tayong gano'n. So all were caught off guard. And many of us are actually suffering, no, in terms of like anxiety, depression, extreme
Exactly,
sadness,
sir.
palungkot.
Mm-mm.
Lalo na yung mga natin, yung mga ang tawag sa mga gano'n, yung mga outgoing people natin, yung talagang very sociable, na-cut yung kanilang socialization. So, Miss Jemima, question ko siguro is that, well, siguro two things yung gusto kong itanong, no? How important do you think is well-being playing a part in distance learning? And how do we sustain? So ano yung siguro po ultimate tip nyo for the teachers for them to be able to sustain themselves all throughout? Kasi mukhang meron pa tayong 2 more years, if not at least 1 year, at most 2 more years sa distance learning modality.
For that, sir, when we talk about well-being, it's actually the core. It's the foundation of each one of us. Whatever field we are in, we always have to take good care of our well-being. And that is something that I would like to also emphasize. Every one of us teachers, we have always been prioritizing our students, our learners, and we have been aiming for professional development. And sometimes we have forgotten ourselves. We have forgotten to take good care of ourselves. Maybe we could do some activities that will help us in sustaining our mental health, because I would have to admit I have no observed and noticed that many people are becoming more concerned about the progress of their careers, because others are probably being halted. Probably some of them stop from working, or others are even struggling in surviving in their field. And what I would like to advocate, most especially in times of pandemic, is that our teachers be more aware of the things that they do. And I know that sometimes we get too overwhelmed by our thoughts, most especially the negative ones. And what I would like to emphasize as well is that we need to have a control over those thoughts, because probably at some point of our lives we have just found ourselves questioning, is this still something that I would like to pursue, most especially if we are struggling. Okay, and we none of us expected this pandemic to happen. Probably some were already enjoying the stability of their job, but all of a sudden things changed. This is a rapid change that none of us is prepared for. And apart from our advocacy to promote the well-being of our learners, before anything else we have to also take good care of ourselves, because if we are not okay, then we cannot work well. If we are not okay, then I don't think we will be able to deliver an effective instruction to our students. It's actually this, they can see it, they will be able to feel it if we are not okay. Okay, there is like a invisible wave that is coming from us, that will be radiating from us towards our students. Even probably when we are just conducting online classes, they would be able to feel it. I Miss is not okay, sir is not okay. And one thing we can prevent that from happening is, of course, to take good care of ourselves. We have to make sure that we are still aware of what our purpose is amidst all these hindrances. And even when we don't have that physical or personal connection with our students, I hope that we will be able to find a way to sustain that meaningful relationship with them.
Thank you, Miss Jemima and Miss Pau. Miss Pau will and Miss Jemima will be conversing with you again later. We'll just
Yes.
finish up the third set with Miss Sultan's video. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Tinggal ginasawa na si teacher, okay, hindi na si teacher ina, teacher abi, teacher ama, hindi na si teacher kita, gusto. Okay?
Global lockdown of educational institutions caused the new normal with interim guidelines to observe and healthy measures to keep away from the present pandemic known as coronavirus. The current global scale expansion in homeschooling through printed modules and online platforms might, at first, thought be seen quite positively as likely to be effective. But typically, in our province, majority of these parents and learners demand supplementive interventions for the effective continuous delivery of educational learning. Upon the approval of our schools division focal person, the local government unit of Bubu in Llano del Sur, and other stakeholders concerned, Panalawan Muntian Central Elementary School had initiated an outreach mobile support with its theme, A Tripartite Approach for Feasible Learning. Guided with its theme, The outreach mobile support does not only centralize the learners alone, but also to enlighten the parents and all other stakeholders who have participated in this outreach mobile support. We design our main agenda to educate all participants regarding the existence of coronavirus and the healthy measures to be safe from such, to foster a mental health and psychosocial support for the parents and guardians on how to deal with our learners, alongside stimulating them the achievable, effective ways to employ modular modality, presenting them the fact that learners diverse from multiple intelligences that require various teaching approaches. Educational activities, stories, and games were intended among preschoolers for the primary level learners and some for the intermediate level ones. In our municipality, major challenges arose in the midst of the normal. To name some, the increasing number of out-of-school youth, the negligence of some parents in receiving printed modules and facilitating their learners at home, and so is the misconception of every resident regarding this coronavirus. Some thinks it's fabricated, while others get inferior rate. To address these challenges and to formally educate every barangays on what they should understand of the present situation and how to surpass these challenges, our school chose to take a stand through implementing an outreach mobile support. Through this outreach mobile support, we can mitigate the fears and misconceptions about this coronavirus and pacify the concerned residents with factual information that they can utilize to stay safe for everyone. This outreach mobile support had also paved the way to motivate these learners to continue their education with us. We aim to conduct this support at least 3 times a month. By then, for as much as we had experienced, this outreach mobile support requires appealing preparation, organized activities in convenient time to ensure a quality support. As Winston Churchill quoted, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Implementing an OMS or outreach mobile support with the present pandemic is challenging. As teachers, we are fully aware of the risks we shall encounter on field. May mga pamilya rin po kami na naghihintay sa amin sa araw-araw. Subalit, nanaig po sa amin ang pag-asa at pananalig sa buong may kapal na tayo po ay muling makakabangon sa gitna ng unos at malalagpasan ang pandemyang kinakaharap sa kasalukuyan. Sunod-sunod po ang pagbaha sa aming lugar, kabilang na po sa aming mga paaralan sa pagpasok ng bagong taon. Magkaganon po, bilang mga guro, matyaga at masaya po kaming nakikipagtulungan sa bawat isa dahil ang pagsubok ay parte ng ating buhay.
Mula sa
Panalawan,
Muntiaan,
Central,
Elementary,
School,
Taus-Pusong,
Pasasalamat,
Kaagapay.
Assalamualaikum. Kami po ay nakikiisa sa Kaagapay Teacher Support in behalf of Panalawan Muntian Central Elementary School. Taos-pusong pasasalamat dahil pinagani niyo ang mundo naming mga guro.
In my decade of teaching, I have experienced and learned that teaching can only be effective when the wisdom of what we learn transpires and is adopted, not only for the learners, but for us teachers as well. Ako po si Farhana Sultan, mula sa Panalawan, Muntiaan Central Elementary School ng Bubong Lanao del Sur. Nagpapasalamat sa inyo, Kaagapay.
And maraming salamat Sir Jambi for resolving that issue. No? I don't know why, but it doesn't really play sa sa end ko. So hindi ko, baka may problema sa software. Anyway, so
At
let's welcome
happy
back.
ako, Sir Franco, na ano, happy ako na nagawa natin ang paraan kasi that also was a beautiful video. Maraming salamat. Miss
Yes,
Farhan.
beautiful video no made by Miss Farhana Sultan. Maraming salamat po Teacher
Iyak
Farhana.
na.
Yan, so we have questions also Chef, definitely for Miss Farhana. Pero let's all welcome back na rin siguro lahat ng speakers natin into the stream. Yan, pasok na po tayong lahat ngayon.
Wow,
Miss Liberty.
exciting.
We'll see gaano po tayo kadami. Ito po lahat ng speakers natin for today, teachers na. Pero siguro Sir Jambi, while waiting for other speakers to come in, ano ka lang, good question ko lang for Miss Farhana kasi very interesting idea nila, no? It's a mobile, it's an outreach support. Okay? So ibig sabihin, in the midst of the pandemic, no, when movement is actually restricted, they still find the way, no, to wala si Miss Farhana pero to do this project, okay? Despite the risk, no? So ang ganda ng intention. Yan, hintayin ko lang makabalik si Miss Farhana before I give the question. Now, teachers, we are now open for your questions, okay? Our speakers are already here, no? And we can address your concerns.
Yes, Sir Franco,
etc.
may question. I think there is one question addressed specifically to Miss Nerys.
Yes, sir.
Ayan. Teka lang, hindi ka na naman.
Ako na lang, Sir Jambi. Okay,
Ayan, go.
Miss Nerys, how can we sustain our mental health, well-being and healthy lifestyle when we are faced with external challenges from our surrounding environment? Could you give us some tips and suggestions? Tama yung question, no? We can manage our own, pero paano kung yung problems are coming from the external na?
Yes, well, when we talk about our problems, we can categorize them generally into two. We have here uncontrollable situation, and what we have, the other one is controllable situation. When we talk about controllable situation, there is something we can do. We can take an action to overcome that problem. However, when we are confronted with an uncontrollable situation, that's a more challenging one. Why? Because we might not be able to change the situation, but what we can change is our reaction to it. That is why I always emphasize the relationship between our thoughts, our feelings, and our behavior. Because if you condition your minds that I can overcome this, I know that I am determined uh, to pursue this thing no matter what, amidst all the challenges I am going through, and also the external factors and the uncontrollable situation that I am being confronted with. If you know for yourself, okay, that you can change the way you react and use that as your privilege, then I am pretty sure that you will be able to overcome that, not immediately but gradually. It takes a process. So I have to emphasize the importance of these components: thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Because sometimes the way we perceive things, okay, will also influence the way we feel about the situation and our action. If we think that it is something uncontrollable, if we think that I can't do anything about it, this is too challenging, I don't think I am capable for this, well, that also affects the way you feel. You won't have that ability to overcome that anymore. You feel restless, you feel hopeless. So it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect. So what I'm trying to emphasize, if the situation is uncontrollable, then you have to change the way you react to it. And it also goes with choice theory, meaning if you choose to overcome that, then you will.
Ang powerful ng statement na yun. If you choose, then you will, no? Ang ganda nun, ang ganda nun. Sana lahat piliin, no? Tapos na ang Feb 14, humihirit pa si Sir. So, pipiliin po natin siya, no? Siya tuloy.
Bakit yung
Piliin
ulo ko
natin.
doon sa hirit na yun?
Oo. Ano lang natin, no? Sir Jamie. Teachers, no? Insights from our speakers, things that you think, no? If you'd like to share something else, no? I don't see other questions na from our audience, okay? I think the presentations were jump pack, no? Ang ganda ng mga presentations natin. So, Jambi, ikaw, insights, questions to our speakers? Ay,
Sige,
si Miss
go ahead.
Farhana nandito na. Yeah, si Miss Farhana nandito na. I have a question to Miss Farhana on your mobile outreach program, Miss. Right now, gaano po kadami or ano po yung coverage natin for the mobile support mobile support natin? Meron yatang problem sa audio si Miss Farhana, no? Hindi natin siya naririnig. Nawawala si Miss Farhana. Anyway, I think nagkakaroon lang tayo ng problem with Miss Farhana, no? Baka sa signal, okay? Sir Jambi, go ahead. Insights, questions?
Ayan. Pero siguro, Sir Franco, very, very quick, question lang meron pinapatanong kay Sir Alwin. Sir, may way daw ba to gather the scores, to get the scores from Wordwall?
Sir, for us to gather the scores from Wordwall, we can activate or turn on the leaderboard, enable the leaderboard. And then, for this, it should be done per class para hindi po magmimix. Kasi if you're going to use one link for all of the classes, then yung nasa top 10 or nasa top 20 lang po yung makukuha. Pero as far as I know, sa Wordwall, you can have maximum of 50 participants. And then nandun po yung scores ng mga bata.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Alvin. So, activate the leaderboard, and suggestion ni Sir Alvin, hiwa-hiwalay per section para hindi maghalo-halo. Ayan. Thank you. Sir Franco, ang question ko para sa ating mga guests, siguro very quickly lang po, sa experience na ito, na pagbabahagi ng inyong situation, best practices, thoughts, reflections, etc. Kayo po, baka may take away kayo. What is one more thing that you learned that you want to be able to apply naman back to your schools because of this experience? Sige, start tayo kay Sir Alvin. Sana yung huling nagsalita.
Sa akin po siguro yung pagiging more lively, parang kay Miss Pau. Kasi I have the tendency na na maging monotonous po yung voice ko tapos mababa yung boses ko. So parang gusto ko magyan ng buhay. Let's add life to what we are doing. So I admire ma'am yung energy. Kasi nag-try ako one time maging game show host. Parang sinabi ko, pagkatapos ng klase, gusto ko na pong matulog kasi parang naubos na yung energy. Ma'am, pa-share naman.
Di ba ako mag-agree ng like 500% dun sa sinabi ni Sir
Correct, correct.
Alvin? Grabe. Nahiya ako kay Miss Pau eh. Parang ang tagal ko ng teacher. Parang bakit hindi ko nakuha ay energy na ganyan? Eh, maraming salamat Miss Pau. Inspiring us.
Ayan, thank you, Sir Alvin. I agree with you. Sir Buenavides? Ay, walang, nakamute, sir.
Ano lang po, sharpen yourself as a teacher, and pangalawa po, maximize yung kung ano ang edge mo, not just for yourself, for the learners, and also for the entire school kung saan kayo na-assign po. Yan lang po.
Ayan. Thank you. Tama si Sir Buenavides eh, no? Iba-iba naman tayo kasi ng iba-iba tayo ng konteksto. So, whatever is needed, whatever is available to you, kung ano yung marunong ka na, sharpen it, continue to sharpen it. Meron at meron yung pakinabang. Yes, Miss Liberty. Ay, nakamute din po.
Sabi ko nga po, I'm not a speaker. Ako po ay more on tagagawa ng narrative, on the backstage. Pero sabi ko sa principal namin, ma'am, kakapalan ko ang mukha ko kasi gusto kong makakuha ng tulong para sa, hindi lang para sa akin, kundi para sa mga co-teachers ko at para sa aming mga estudyante. And thank you po sa kanina nabanggit na may help na ibibigay and we are looking forward to that po. Thank you po.
Ayan. Umasa kayo, Miss Liberty. We will contact you as soon as possible. Tsaka rin po yung mga yung mga kasamahan natin na viewers. If you want to reach out to Miss Liberty, sabihan niyo lang po kami ni Sir Franco, i-connect po namin kayo. Walang problema doon. Si Miss Eloisa. Ay, nakamute din po. Sorry.
Alright, so actually very nice po ang ating sharing of the best practices, our own stories. Actually, kahit humaba ang ating session, it really pays off because we can go beyond to our classroom, to our own self-improvement, and it makes the path clearer to what we really want to our students. Okay. Especially in transformative teaching, transformative education.
Correct. I agree. Ayan. Tingnan naman natin ang thoughts ni Miss Yolene.
Okay, so I think the thing that I realized really is yung coming from yung various kinds of speakers that we have is yung never lose the passion. Siguro yun nga, tama din si Sir Alvin, gusto ko rin yung passion ni Miss Pau, ni Miss Jemima, the young ones that we have now, ni Miss Eloisa, yung momentum nila, sana hindi mawala while we grow old, na kasi medyo mas older tayo kaysa sa kanila. I think ganun din yung gusto kong na-realize ko that as I grow older, I want to have the same passion. I just hope na meron akong kasi gandang boses ni Miss Pau na very attractive. Kahit yung parang magtuturo ka ng medyo old na ng konti, gising na gising pa rin. And I also am with Miss Liberty and Miss Farhan na na-realize ko talaga yung need to help out as well because yung family ko din is also from a remote place in Mindanao, and when I go back to our farm, usually nakikita ko, nagiging ko din siya, realization na hindi ko ba lang nasi-share yung yung meron ako sa kanila. I just go there to relax kasi sa farm ng father ko. Pero alam ko na the nearby schools, the nearby communities also might be I might be of assistance to them as well. So yun, yung importance ng collaboration, ng importance din ng asking help, which is I salute Miss Liberty for being very vocal about asking help for kung sino gustong pwedeng tumulong sa kanya. Kasi it takes guts and courage to do that. Parang you're getting out from your comfort zone na yun, na ang iba yung forte mo, pero talagang binigyan mo ng courage, lakas na loob, no, yung sarili mo para makapag-share and then also impart and also ask help. So that takes a lot of guts and courage from one person. And I just hope na yung the other people na siguro kung ano yung na-share ko na they might see na maganda lahat. Pero iba-iba kasi yung challenges natin mga schools, especially iba yung private, iba yung public, iba din yung bawat teacher, iba-iba din. So iba-iba yung hugot natin sa life, di ba? So yun, just believe in yourself, never lose that faith in yourself. Obviously, always pray and ask help from other teachers, colleagues. And yun, yung sa akin lang, always be respectful. Kasi pag respetoso tayo sa ibang tao, kahit hindi mo masyadong gusto, di ba, meron naman tayong hindi natin siya bet, kung sa amin, hindi ko siya masyadong like, parang gano'n. Pero if you have that respect, very civil ka, and you still can collaborate with other people. So, ayun. Thank you very much also for the opportunity, Sir Jamie and Sir Franco.
Ayan, thank you, Miss Yulin. Alam mo, Sir Franco, piling ko dapat i-keep natin tong ano na to tong GC, mag-GC na tayo nito. Piling ko maraming projects na mag-stem from this group Ayan. Tingnan natin if narinig na natin si Miss Farhana naman. Meron na ba? Sorry, Sir Franco. Hindi ko nakikita if she's talking.
She's talking but we can't hear her no. Kakaroon ng problems. Yes.
Ayan. It's okay, Miss Farhana. Una, we were able to watch your video, beautiful video. You were able to share your experiences there anyway. Tell you what, Miss Farhana, when we hear from the two other teachers, baka you want to private chat your message and we will share it for you. Ayan. So for now, pakinggan natin si Miss Nerys.
Well, what I can finally say is that as we progress in our career, then let's consider our the different aspects of ourselves, and at the same time, when we deliver instructions and when we give tasks to our students, we also have to think of their well-being as well, the different aspects of themselves. So meaning as we write our module, as we figure out the tasks for them, we have to also evaluate, is this too hard, is this too much, or is this something bearable? That is one way to sustain the well-being.
Very good, very good. I agree completely. And finally, let's hear from Miss Pao. Dapat yung kasing buhay nung kanina, no, Sir Franco?
I'm bracing myself actually, no? Medyo, excited.
Ready na si Sir Alvin. Ready na siya, papakinggan si Sir Alvin. Paano ba yung sharing ng preschool? Go ahead, ma'am.
For me po, actually, this is one thing na guilty din ako, is work-life balance. Na parang, napapansin ko sa sarili ko, parang as much as, kung ano yung binibigay ko sa klase ko, sana nagagawa ko din yung pagmamahal na yon at yung pag-aalaga para di sa sarili ko. Kasi honestly, ang hirap humugot ng energy. Na parang every morning, kahit di nga maganda gising mo, kahit gutom ka pa, di ka pa nag-breakfast, yet you still have to smile. You still have to be as energetic as the kids para ma-motivate mo din sila. Kasi sobrang mong mahal ang mga bata mo na kahit ikaw, actually nauubos ka na, pero sige ka pa, bigay ka pa din ng bigay para sa kanila. Kaya lang, nakakalimutan na natin yung sarili din natin. Kasi ano na nga naman ba yung i-share natin kung tayo mismo, ubus na, hindi ba? At we are part of a greater community na sana hindi lang tayo sa mga estudyante natin. Of course, we're teaching them to be good citizens of the Philippines, or if they're to be somewhere else, na tayo din, makibahagi din tayo sa community natin, na tulungan din natin yung nasa paligid natin. Kasi hindi lang naman tayo self-centered, di ba, teachers? We also offer our help, we also offer ourselves, kahit may makukuha ka man o wala, hindi ba? So, i-share pa rin natin yung kung ano man din ang meron tayo. At wag mo kakalimutan talaga yung sarili mo. Kasi mahalaga din, lalo na sa panahon ngayon, na alagaan mo din at pansinin mo din yung sarili mo.
Correct. And with that, Sir Franco.
Sir Jambi, bago lang tayo magpaalam sa ating mga speakers, so can we face our camera speakers? We'll be taking a snapshot na. And we'll record it because this is our first time to hold this many people in this in a stream, no? So this is our first time. Okay, so I'll count 1 to 3, teachers. 1, 2, 3. Okay, teachers. Okay na po. So, Sir Benavides, Sir Alwin, Miss Yulin, Miss Jemima, Miss Pau, Miss Liberty, Miss Eliza, Miss Farhana. This will not be our last, definitely. We'll be contacting you soon again, no, because I think all of your presentations are worth extending to a full-length webinar. So, we'll be
Correct, correct.
seeing you soon again. And hopefully, you can still again indulge us, no, at mapagbigyan niyo po ulit kami kahit po napaka-busy po ng mga schedules niyo at napakadami niyo pong ginagawa. Okay, so more projects sabi nga ni Sir Jambi, and parang so far puno na po ang ating webinars hanggang April series. May naka-line up na po tayo dahil dito sa anong to. No? So maraming salamat po, teachers. We'll see you again, no, soon here at Kaagapay Teacher Support. Okay. Thank you po.
Salamat
Yeah.
po. Salamat ang marami.
Ay,
Thank
sa
you po.
Sir Javi, for a while pala, no? May nakalimutan lang. Speakers, wag muna po tayong malis. Last na po. Baka lang makalimutan ko. Sorry for that, no? Makakalimutan na si Sir Franco. I'll just like to present one
Work-life
topic para lang po
balance kasi daw.
Yes, makita lang po natin. I will be sending these files to you soon, okay? But just to show appreciation, okay? Okay. So we'd like to present this certificate of recognition to all our speakers, okay, for sharing their expertise and their contribution as a guest speaker in the recently concluded webinar entitled Lightning Talks, Experiences, Practices, and Stories in Distance Learning, awarded on February 2021, signed by your KTS administrators, Sir Franco Nicolo P. Adun, Joseph Angelo M. Santos, and Angelo B. Malyari. So, yan po. We'll be sending this certificate, teachers, to your emails very soon. No? Maraming salamat po ulit. Yan.
Thank you very much po.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
So,
Thank
paalam
you,
po tayo sa
everyone.
atin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you po.
Salamat po.
Thank you so much.
As well to our
Yeah, thank you
speakers.
po. Maraming
Thank you,
salamat.
Kaagapay.
Okay, also viewers, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Benavides. Yeah, so Sir Jabi, again, we apologize to our audience. No, this is our longest, perhaps, no webinar for na by the record. Okay, but I hope again our audience appreciate the effort put in, no, by our speakers for today. So ito na po, Sir Jambi, napapakita na po natin ng ating evaluation link. So pwede na po silang mag-evaluate for this event, no?
Correct. Saka alam mo, Sir Franco, meron lang akong feeling na dahil nakita na nila that others were able to do it, baka dadami yung gustong mag-share, mag-participate sa
Yes.
ating lightning
Tsaka,
talks
oo.
in the
Sir,
future.
tama ka, Sir Jambi, no? Yung sinabi mo kanina na no matter how small your story is, it seems, no, sa'yo, it actually something big, something relevant, something important to others as well. So, talagang worth sharing. Tsaka, Sir
Correct.
Jambi, no, kahit matagal na tayo sa pagtuturo, or matagal na rin tayo sa pandemic, no, nakaisang taon na tayo, marami pa rin talaga tayong mga matututunan at malalaman, no, sa stories ng mga ibang guro. Kaya, sabi nga natin, Sir Jambi, sa backstage, na habang nag-uusap ang mga admins, this will become a regular part, no, ng mga programs natin. So
Correct.
we'll be inviting speakers for the lightning talks to share before an actual event. Kasi magiging change, na isa sa mga changes natin sa Kaagapay Teacher Support. So every week we'll be having one teacher or one personnel from education to share their experiences, practices, and stories in distance learning or in education in general. Yan. Okay,
Correct.
so Sir Jambi, final message? Meron ka pang sasabihin or paabot sa ating mga audience?
Ayan. Gaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, Sir Franco, sumasakit na yung ulo ko sa sobrang dami na gusto kong i-share. Pero siguro bottom line is this. And it's an add-on to what Miss Neris was sharing earlier. Diba? Totoo, There are things that we can control. There are things that we cannot control. And in fact, even those that we can supposedly control, easier said than done. Okay? Madaling sabihin, pero let's face it, hindi ganun kadaling gawin talaga. Lalo na sa sitwasyon na meron tayo ngayon wherein hindi lang yung mga estudyante natin yung apektado, pati tayo mismo affected. And siguro I would like to suggest something that you can do. At yun yung ginawa natin today. Talk to others. Okay? I-share mo yung saloobin mo, i-share mo yung experiences mo to others. Who knows, 'di ba? Baka may matuto sa iyo, baka ikaw yung matuto. Okay? At the very least, malaking bagay yung nailabas mo at yung may nakapakinig sa iyo. Yan. So, kaya naman yung Kaagapay Teacher Support, nandito lang po kami. Okay? We will always listen to you. Gaya ng pag listen ninyo sa amin. Alam niyo po, malaking bagay yung ginagawa ninyo every week para sa amin. It also helps in our well-being, kami ni Sir Franco and ni Sir Jello. So, ganun din po yung gusto naming magawa sa inyo. Huwag po kayong mahiya na mag-share ng experiences ninyo sa chat or kung if ayan, sabi nga ni Miss Liberty kanina, kung nagkaroon na kayo ng lakas ng loob, so i-share sa Lightning Talks yung aming experience, yung aming sitwasyon sa aming school. Kontakin niyo lang po kami.
Sir Jambi, no? So again, maraming salamat po, no, for being with us. Alam po, mahaba yung session. At medyo gutom na rin po tayo, no? So again, thank you so much, teachers, for always being with us, no? And hopefully, we brought you something new. We brought you something inspiring for today, no? And let's keep moving forward, okay? Together as your companion, no? Sabi nga ni Sir Jambi, hindi namin po kayo iiwan. Pwede niyo po kaming iwan, okay? Pero wag naman po sana, no? Pero hindi po namin kayo iiwan, no? We will always be here walking with you, not ahead of you, but walking with you, no? Side by side, all throughout this kahit po matapos na yung pandemic, will be there with you. So maraming salamat po, teachers, and have a nice weekend, have a nice Saturday. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.